To right field, at an angle, is there! A no-hitter! The 19th in White Sox history!
Lucas Giolito on the hill tonight, coming off his best performance in quite some time.
Wizardry from Giolito. Up the middle. Tough play. Tim unloads. And got him! If this night goes the way you want, that one's going to be replayed hundreds of times. Check swing. He did go strike three.
I always envisioned that I'd throw a no-hitter in the big leagues. It's just a product of hard work, determination, learning how to trust myself, trust my stuff. Obviously, the defense behind me was unbelievable. I'm just going to enjoy this night and back on the mound in 5 days.
Well, Lucas Giolito was one day off, but everything was on that day at Guaranteed Rate Field. August 31st, his next start as the White Sox take on the Twins tonight, and Lucas will never have that no-hitter taken away from him. This is a big game, though. He pitches in at Target Field, game number 1 of 3 against Minnesota, and Lucas Giolito does indeed return to the hill with the Sox in first place, 21-13, tied with a Cleveland team that was very active in the trade market today. We'll tell you about that as the telecast wears on. And for Lucas Giolito, he is 14 years younger than his opponent today, left-hander Rich Hill, who has been all over Major League Baseball. But because he's a left-hander, that is certainly not good for him, because the White Sox have not lost to a southpaw starter all season long. Thank you for joining us for the next chapter of Lucas Giolito. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. Lucas, not only in that no-hitter, was awesome. We know that. The start before that, he was fantastic as well.
13 strikeouts in that one. It took him 7 innings. It took him 9 innings to strike out 13 the next time. The last couple of starts, he's been brilliant. You take a look at August 20th against the Tigers. No runs, 3 hits, 7 innings. He was done. That's all he needed. And then the gem against the Pirates. You know, occasionally a pitcher gets a shot to tie Johnny Vandermeer. That means 2 no-hitters in a row. There's only been 1 pitcher in the history of baseball to throw 2 no-hitters in a row. That's Johnny Vandermeer. Lucas is going for that tonight. Remember last year, he shut out the Twins in Minnesota. One of the few pitchers to do that. And this should be a dandy.
But no pressure. We'll set the series next. Sox and Twins.
White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago is brought to you in part by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all. First Midwest Bank, helping you build momentum. You have plans. First Midwest Bank has ideas. Xfinity. Xfinity X5 delivers blazing fast Wi-Fi with no curveballs. And by Wintrust, home of White Sox checking. Visit wintrust.com/Sox to open today.
White Sox and Twins, we got to set you up for this series. You ready?
I am ready.
All right. So it's been a long time. Remember the first pitch of the season, a home run for the Twins? They won 2 of 3. The Sox are looking for revenge.
We're going to roll out the barrels. You want barrels? 5 of the top 8 AL barrel hitters are going to play in this series.
And we're going to have a barrel of fun. But these go to 11. The White Sox in the last 13 games, 11-2, the hottest team in the American League.
You could call them sizzling Sox. I know it says so up there. White Sox lead American League in home runs, batting average, and slugging percentage.
That's what the Twins did last year to AL Central success. And 7-11 for the Sox. The Twins are 4-7 over their last 11 games. They've lost 5 in a row, swept by the Tigers. It's a reeling team that's a little hungry right now.
They're still only one of the 4 teams to have never been below 500 this year. And the Sox would like to help them along the way.
Yeah, just kind of push them there. They come in at 20-15, but they are still a threat. Look, Nelson Cruz, since 2019 against the Sox, has been a damaging figure. Lucas Giolito got a face full of that last year with 3 home runs in 1 game.
Keep your eye on Tim Anderson. The last 24 against the Twins, he's hitting .363. He scored 21 runs, driven in 14. And by the way, a soft-tossing left-hander on the mound in Rich Hill. That is tailor-made for Tim Anderson.
That was a better setup than you get in Ocean's 11. We're ready to go. You ready?
Indeed.
Let's do it. Sox and Twins. Stars to the north. Next.
But sometimes they do more. They connect. Yes, Chicago and Minneapolis are separated by 408 miles and even more in style, but connected in sport.
Will come to Kane, the one-timer. Scores!
He struck him out. He has shut out the Twins. He is a giant killer.
From a lakefront skyline to blue skies over 10,000 lakes, Michigan Ave to Nicollet Ave. There's Vikings, Bears, Bulls and Wolves, Wild and Hawks. But right now, it's Twins and Sox, each carrying questions, both needing answers. Are the Twins still the best in the Central? Is it the Sox time to flip the script? Will either team score less than 10 runs? The answers won't be immediate, but that's why we watch. Not for what happens, but the magic of what might. That starts tonight for two cities so close, yet so far away.
Oh, let's rock and roll. Sox and Twins, the only trip to Target Field this year for the Chicago White Sox. And at 21-13, I know Sox fans are thrilled right now. You all are waiting to see if the Sox can hang on to that first place spot and grow it. As Tim Anderson takes strike one from 40-year-old Rich Hill, and we are off and running from Target Field tonight.
You have to wait for the slow curveball. Hill is going to feature it. He is certainly in major grunt mode.
Oh yeah, he is. He's Kenta Maeda level of grunt early on. So many of you watching at home are so excited about this White Sox team being in first place for the second time the last couple of days. Walk-offs on Friday and Sunday, and we're starting to see everything that you all were waiting for with this rebuild. On 1-1 from Hill, and it's a high fastball. 1-2 in our Four Seasons weather for the ball game. Minnesota fine is the weather. 69 degrees, 9 miles an hour to the west, and Minnie and Paul overlooking.
A radical departure from here at 69 degrees.
Breaking ball popped up on the right side of the infield. It is a rise. Round number one. And let's tell you about the starting lineup for Ricky Renteria. It's brought to you by Insure. Insure on the spot starting lineup. Get your free auto insurance quote in just 2 minutes at insureonthespot.com. You saw TA, that weighted runs created plus at 169, best in the lineup. Then Jimenez and Abreu, Encarnacion, McCann, and Robert. Mendick, Engel, and Madrigal. League average 100 on that stat.
For Rich Hill, this is fourth start. ERA 3.55, but in the previous 3 starts, only 12 2/3. Rocco Baldelli would like to get a little more from him tonight. And for Roman, he's going to throw that big curveball, the four-seam fastball, and that's about it. He's a 2-pitch pitcher.
He's been tinkering with a cutter. We haven't seen it a lot. He just threw it to start in his last start. He's been messing around. He threw 7 of them in that last start. But he has been, you're right, he's 95% four-seam fastball and curveball.
Here's the hook. Let's see if Eloy can wait back.
It's a strike called that just missed the inside corner, but he was given the strike. And we should remind you that the K zone is not 100% locked in to exactly what the strike zone is.
Only 9.5%.
Yeah, umpires have their own strike zones.
They do.
Is the best way to put that. 1-2, ground ball to Hill. It hit him as a stationary human being, and he throws out Jimenez. 2 down.
Let's take a look at the defense, brought to you by UI Health, and this is how Rocco Baldelli is going to put them out there with Rosario, Cave, and Kepler in the outfield. Gonzalez, Polanco, Arise, and Sano in the infield. Ryan Jeffers, number 2 draft pick for them, 2nd round. He's behind the plate, and Rich Hill on the hill. Or
Stay up
Rich
all
is
night
on
with
the
that?
hill. Rich is on the hill.
Scribbling things down on your bedside table notepad.
He's been around seemingly forever. Originally coming up with the Cubs.
He is 40 years old, and we'll show you later on in the telecast who was in his draft class, but it's It's a lot of names that you remember either from yesteryear or late in their careers in current year. He was a 4th-round pick in 2002 on a Milton High School in Massachusetts by way of the University of Michigan.
What's really interesting is that the Twins are playing Abreu like no other team plays him. They're actually a step or two to pull. Most teams in the outfield play him toward right center field.
Wave and a miss, strike 3. Got to wait around for that curveball all day long in a 1-2-3 inning for Rich Hill. Gio's coming next for the encore. For 27 outs once again after his first career no-hitter. And he will face this starting lineup, our Insure on the Spot lineup. Get your free auto insurance quote in just 2 minutes at insureonthespot.com. Weighted runs created plus shows a bunch of guys below average in this Minnesota lineup, which is rather shocking, but Nelson Cruz continues to be solid, if not spectacular.
Lucas Giolito, unbelievable this year, on for the 8th start. His ERA a touch over 3. Looking for his 4th win. See, only 17 walks, 58 strikeouts, and 43 2/3. He has allowed just 3 home runs. And for matchups, brought to you by Roman, Max Kepler has been a tough one. Nelson Cruz, equally as tough. Sano, not so much. So a good thing about Kepler, first pitch of the year went out of the ballpark. It was a high inside fastball, and maybe Lucas wants to readjust that one.
Well, it's an interesting Minnesota team, Steve, and you mentioned they came out of the chute hot. They look like the same team as last year, but right now, this may shock a lot of people watching at home. The Twins are 22nd in baseball in slugging percentage. They're right around 400 after a year last year where they were tipping 500.
Well, another aspect of their game, they don't have a lot of speed. So if they don't hit the ball out of the park, it's tough to score a whole lot of runs.
First pitch, strike on the inside corner. So Lucas Giolito's first start in 6 days starts with strike 1. He's got James McCann behind the plate once again. This tandem had the no-hitter on Tuesday. And there's a slider, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I was going to say that's kind of significant because during the no-hitter, he probably threw maybe 1 slider the first 4 innings before breaking it out. This time he breaks it out early. So an adjustment already in this one.
Off speed for strike 2. We saw Lucas Giolito the day after his no-hitter, about noon, the afternoon of that game before the Pirates left town, out there working. He is as dedicated to his craft as ever, and we'll see what he does as a follow-up to that no-hitter in which he had a 54% whiff rate. There's contact for Kepler down the right field side toward the corner, and this is foul.
Let's take a look at the defense. Sponsored by UI Health. This is how Ricky's going to put them out there with Eloy, Luis, and Adam in the outfield. Danny, Tim, Nick, and Jose in the infield. James McCann behind the plate. Lucas Giolito on the hill, and once again, Yoan Moncada not in the lineup.
Danny Mendick takes his spot as Kepler sees another slider. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lucas comes in with an 11-inning hitless streak. The last hit he allowed was a single for the Tigers 11 days ago in Austin Romine. This Minnesota team knows Lucas Giolito as well as anybody, although it was last year in this ballpark, as we talked about, that he shut out the Minnesota Twins, a complete game shutout. Right hand side, TA is there to collect out number 1. Well, for Lucas Giolito, a lot of streaks on the line starting tonight. His first Sox pitcher, back-to-back scoreless 13-plus strikeout starts. 17 1/3 now scoreless streak, still short of his career long from May into June last year. His last run allowed was 16 days ago. I mean, whoa.
I was so much hoping you wouldn't read that because there's so many things you can jinx him on that something has to give way.
You know what? Honestly, you can go fly a kite. One down. And there's a fastball to Jorge Polanco. You're rolling on the floor over there in your own corner. Let's check the record. You were the first one to say no hitter on Tuesday night, by the way.
Was I really?
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, really. Outrageous, huh? Pot, kettle.
Especially
foul
because
ball.
we really didn't jinx him after all.
No, we don't have that capability, but thank you for everybody who thinks we have that power. We appreciate it very much. 2 strikes from Lucas to Jorge Polanco, who has knocked down his strikeout rate quite a bit this year. He's been striking out a lot less so far here in 2020. High fastball? Yeah.
James McCann loves it. Lucas can throw it there, so he has no problem calling it. I think another high fastball just a little lower probably gets the job done. We'll have to see what James McCann wants. There was another high fastball, but he made a little contact. You know, it's interesting for Lucas because pitchers who are doing well love the rhythm that 5 days gives you, because you know what you're going to do the day after you pitch. You're probably going to have a good side session that second day, and then everybody has something different on the third day. This is 6 days for Lucas, so he should be stronger. The only thing you worry about is pinpoint control.
Down with a changeup, 2 balls, 2 strikes, and Minnesota looks content to force him into some long counts this evening.
The Kepler at bat was a long one. You want to make sure you get a couple of first or second pitch outs because you don't want to get to 100 somewhere in the 6th inning.
2-2 changeup, and Polanco was looking for something else. 2 down, and it's StatCast powered by Google Cloud. It is Nelson Cruz against Lucas Giolito. This is what Lucas has thrown him, and Nelson has hit just about everything out of the ballpark against Lucas in that one game. It was 3 separate pitches, 3 types of pitches that led to home runs in that one game, and we'll see what he does today.
I think he needs to establish a slider to Cruz. If you're going to go in, you want to go way in, but a slider to him is a better pitch than the curveball. Lucas doesn't throw many curveballs. And there's the slider. Perfect spot for it.
Oh, 1. Another one. Established.
I think it's established, but just to make sure, I would throw him another one. You want to make sure you establish that. And if it's in the same spot, it's going to be inning over.
Oh, he laid off.
That was a little wide.
Nelson Cruz against breaking balls this year, slugging .378, to your point.
A whole lot different than looking at fastballs.
Another one. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 4 consecutive sliders to Nelson Cruz. Do you have one more in your pocket?
I'm thinking a fastball away. You throw it at the knees, his best bolt, probably a ground ball. But you just don't want to go to 3-2 with him, so we'll see what James wants here.
Yep, fastball struck him out. Oh, what a fun chess match we got going on with Lucas and the Twins. I'll take 27 in my battle. Ron Vesley, the greatest photographer in all of baseball, with the wonderful shots from our homestand. We thank Vest for that. And Edwin Encarnacion tries to become the first base runner in this ball game. And a pop-up. Foul ground. Miguel Sano makes the catch. 7 up, 7 down combined for Hill and Giolito.
Catchers are pretty observant, and by now James McCann, who I'm sure has been watching Rich Hill, knows that when he throws a fastball, almost without exception, he throws a high fastball. For McCann, that's a really good pitch to take to right or right center field.
It's going to be out there. I mean, we've seen that in the first 4 at bats.
He's been trying to get ahead with a fastball. Jeffers wants to take a look at the foot placement of McCann to see where he sets up.
Elevated fastball. He is putting it in the top quarter of the strike zone and forcing the Sox to swing at it.
Well, he knows that if you're employing that swing path, that uppercut swing, a high fastball is a pretty good pitch. So far, he's made the most of it. But second time through, the boys should be on a whole lot of those fastballs.
Curveball with the loud grunt. 0-2 from Rich Hill, who's played for 9 separate major league ball clubs in his 18 seasons in pro ball after being drafted in 2002. Boston, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Twins, the A's, the Indians, the Angels, the Yankees, and Baltimore. There it is to right field, and James McCann drops it in as advertised. Kepler forgot something, and James is at second base with 1 out.
You got to be aware. You have to know what the pitcher is going to try to do with you. Rich Hill is not going inside. James McCann, who is very observant, he has to be to help his pitcher. He just goes outside, stays with the breaking ball, and drills it into right field. There you see the hook. It's very slow, around 74, 75 miles an hour, and Kepler goes, yikes, a baseball. Can't get it in time to stop McCann from second base. That's probably a double.
You would imagine so, as Luis Roberts sees a curveball and grounds it to third. Marwin Gonzalez as out number 2 for Minnesota. We didn't even get a chance to tell you about Luis Roberts' walk-off yesterday. We'll get a chance before the first pitch of his next at bat.
Yeah, eventually he's going to take a pitch, you would think.
Would you?
You would think so.
He's as explosive of a player as there is in Major League Baseball. I mean, don't blink with Luis Robert.
Danny's got to go up and look first ball fastball. I mean, I don't think he'll throw him a curve. If he does, you take it. We'll have to see.
Ooh, high curve, ball 1.
Usually high curves don't get called.
That's by experience.
That's for sure.
You're very sad about that still, like 40 years later.
I retain a touch of bitterness.
That one's called a strike, right around the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And Danny is talking to DJ Rayburn about that one. He thought it might have been a little low, maybe a touch inside. Rosario's got a pretty decent arm in left field, better than most left fielders, and Kepler's arm in right is very good.
Curveball swatted to center field, and a diving play by Cave keeps the shutout intact. Jake Cave hauls it in. Lucas Giolito back out in a scoreless tie. Teams last year in baseball won 100 games. The Astros and Twins, along with the Dodgers and the Yankees, and only one man would not let 2 of them pass. Slide in Lucas Giolito with a complete game shutout May 23rd down in Texas. 4 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. And then against the Twins on August 21st, 3 hits, 12 strikeouts.
Really an amazing accomplishment, beating 2 of the best teams in all of baseball in their home parks and shutting them out. Something that I'm sure nobody else even came close to.
Well, certainly nobody did it, and he looked dominant in both of them. And you kind of have to, right? But there was no luck in that deal. You talk about 1 walk in both of them, as he'll face a free swinger in Eddie Rosario.
Well, Eddie's going to help you a number of different ways. Eddie's going to swing at a lot of changeups, low and out of the zone, but he's also going to swing at just about every high fastball you throw, because Eddie is a good high fastball hitter, which for left-handers is usually not what you see.
Down the line and foul, right-hand side. He hit their sign and provided support, I guess, is what you get when you hit the sign. That's what it said.
He jumped on that high fastball and fortunately yanked it foul.
Odds he throws him a strike here. or intends to throw him a strike?
Well, if he throws him either a really high strike, he'll be okay.
Yeah, I figured it wasn't going to be in the zone.
No.
That's what I was driving at there.
No, Eddie will expand that zone. There's no doubt. He's got big power. He hasn't been a great hitter this year, but he is a run producer, and that's what they want in the middle of this lineup.
1-2. It's a fastball, and he missed his spot well below where he wanted to be.
Well, James wanted to face high fastball there, and Lucas threw it down. Fortunately, Rosario fouled it off. He's gonna probably double up.
Way upstairs, he corrected certainly, but overcorrected. Lucas Giolito, he's got great support across the country, but you never know if his dad Rick is actually watching the game or if he's going to watch it on DVR. 2-2. It's another high fastball, and it's 3-2.
Well, after 3 high fastballs, a change, and not the high change, but the low change is probably in order. We'll see what James, who usually thinks right along with Lucas, wants.
Three and two. It was a changeup, and he popped it up. Back of home, McCann has no play. The authenticator had a play, maybe.
Almost on top of his head.
Well, if you wanted to know if it was an authentic baseball,
here's the knot.
We've seen in this at bat how important competitive non-strikes are, because a couple of these balls in this sequence have not shown themselves as strikes at all. They've been well out of the zone. You can't really get a chase out of that. So now 3-2, and it's down. '20 Chicago White Sox, presented by Guaranteed Rate, the league leader in mortgages. Here's the pitch. Visit rate.com today.
So you've got the ideal good man for 2 up in Sano. Sano has had all kinds of problems with Lucas. Sano doesn't hit sliders very well because normally he tries to pull them, which gets you the ground ball to the left side. And if he hits a ground ball, it will be a double play, and Lucas goes with a fastball away and invites him to try to pull it.
James steps out in front of the plate there. Does that mean anything to the pitcher?
Well, he knows that Lucas has missed with 4 fastballs in a row. And usually when that happens, you want to settle him down, go back to the thought process, which is the only thing that exists is this pitch coming. Forget about anything that happened before.
Nicely done.
I thought Lucas described it perfectly when he says James can call a pitch that settles me down. So after missing with the 4 fastballs, 3 to Rosario and the first one to Sano, James called a straight change.
Another one. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Sano. Big time pull hitter Miguel Sano. Big time swing and miss guy Miguel Sano.
And there is the second of 2 straight changes, which sets up a good slider. Same as he threw to Cruz. All will be well.
Check swing. James says keep it similar to that. See, average exit velocity in the American League, Sano is number 1. That's why missing his bat is so paramount. Right side, that's a base hit. Sano has the first hit against Giolito, and it gets through Engel. And over at third, Rosario slides in. Rosario bit the dust over there. He didn't see the play in right field.
I don't think Rosario was looking at his third base coach as the problem, because he should score easily. Adam Engel is probably wondering how in the world did that happen. When you take anything for granted, things like this do happen. Lets it go between his legs. Rosario has to score on this, and the only way that he doesn't score is the fact that he didn't pick up the third base coach. If he picks up the third base coach and he's telling him the same thing now, you got to look at me, because if you do, you're home. As it turns out, you're not, and it goes base hit E9.
Well, look, if you're going to trade one for the other, you take Engel's catch at the end of the no-hitter, and this one certainly may sting you, as this is flied out to left center field and down for a hit. Rosario scores anyway, and the Twins get the first run against Lucas Giolito in a very long while. 17 inning scoreless streak coming into the game, went to 18, and now that is over at the hands of these Minnesota Twins.
Arraez was maybe the toughest guy in the lineup in this situation, because you really can't throw much by him. He is a contact hitter. One of the few in this lineup you don't have to worry about a home run. You do worry about contact. He made contact the other way. And Lucas, who started out this inning not able to spot his fastball at all, finds himself in a position now, nobody out, first and third. He's down a run, and you got a double play man up. For the Sox infield, you're thinking about two. You want to stay out of the big inning. You'll concede the man at third base for the double play if you can get it.
The hitless streak ended at 0 for 38 after the 1-2-3 first inning, and now Lucas does try to recalibrate, as you said. Changeup, strike one to Marwin Gonzalez. You wonder if the first hit might loosen Lucas up a little bit in a good way. I mean, you got the no-hitter, you go 1-2-3 in the first inning, you kind of start to feel invincible, but there's pressure there as well.
I think he's going back to concentrating pitch by pitch. I don't think you look at the big picture right now. I think you got to break it down to make one pitch. That's what Lucas said has been the secret of his resurgence, is taking everything down from the big picture to the smallest picture. You throw one big pitch at a time with all your concentration, you find yourself at the end of the performance, you've strung together a pretty good one.
That one spiked, 1 ball, 2 strikes on Marwin Gonzalez, who has 8 multi-hit games this year. That's third on this Minnesota roster.
The biggest tip-off that Lucas does not have the real good command tonight is that his intentional missed pitches are not even close. When you miss, when you get ahead of the hitter and you miss, if you're missing just off the plate, a couple inches here, a couple inches there, you've got everything well in hand. When you're missing by plenty, as Lucas is in the early going, you just don't have it yet.
Right hand side. Madrigal throws it wide at second base. And now it's into no man's land down the left field line. Arraez is coming home, and the Twins have a runner at second and 3 runs in the inning. 2 errors in the inning, which is highly rare for this defense that has been the best in baseball. And the Twins lead 3-0.
We'll take another look, and Nick is right there to make the play and just throws it, for the most part, into the runner. I think it was Arraez that shielded the ball from Tim. Arraez takes away the angle, and after that, gentlemen, start your engines.
Nick says, hey, calm it down. He's frustrated with himself. You can see it on his face. But with this offense, certainly 3-0 is not the end of the world. Jake Cave with a foul ball and a fastball for strike one.
You're out there on the mound, even if the man at second scores and there is nobody out. You concede that and say, okay, turn it over to the offense. Bail me out, guys.
Well, Miguel Sano had that first hit against Lucas Giolito since 11 days ago. First run against him in 16 days, and the changeup is working pretty well tonight.
Changeup has been spotted very well.
This series important, certainly. Twins a game and a half back of the Sox and Indians in the AL Central. Cleveland in Kansas City tonight, scoreless in the second inning. And now 2-2 for Cave.
As strange as it sounds, this is going to be a tougher night for Lucas than the no-hitter was. As a no-hitter, he had great stuff. He was in command from start to finish. He's fighting everything in tonight's game. And he's got to find a way right now to call on all of his concentration and focus and bring it all back, because you can't go to the bullpen this early. There's a lot of games in a row, and you don't want to extend that bullpen.
2-2. Fastball struck him out upstairs. Bring home a part of White Sox history. Commemorate Lucas Giolito's first career no-hitter with a limited edition ticket. Each ticket includes a unique seat location, and they're on sale now through September 13th. Go to whitesox.com/Giolito to get yours today. Well, Lucas Giolito knew that no matter what, that no-hitter will be on his resume, but at some point, and it was very quickly after that, he set his sights on this very next start, and it's not gone as planned. But we've seen his resiliency in the past, and this is somebody whose body language has improved so much since 2018 on the mound. This would have already unraveled even further, you would imagine, 2 years ago.
Well, there's one factor, and we mentioned it early in this one. This is his 6th day. And why that's important is pitchers who throw on every 5th day in a 5-man rotation, they want the same type of rhythm. They want to do exactly the same thing each and every day in between their starts. And when it's disrupted at all, whether it's the 4th day or the 6th day, they have to make accommodations. And I'm not sure that Lucas has spent a lot of time pitching on the 6th day.
In the air left center, Robert has room. And no tag from Gonzalez. So Ryan Jeffers flies out, and Kepler batting for the second time.
Look, you keep this at 3 and odds are overwhelming. They're going to get to Ridge Hill. Probably going to be the second time through, and so Lucas now is starting to throw to spots a little bit more, so you can see it just ever so slightly coming back to him. This is a challenge, though. Kepler has been awfully tough on Lucas.
Kepler bounced to short on 7 pitches in the first inning. There's ball 1 on a no-hitter alert tonight. Tyler Glasnow is through 5 no-hit for Tampa Bay in New York against the Yankees.
There are not many pitchers in baseball have better stuff than Tyler Glasnow. If he's healthy, his stuff is electric.
That curveball is insane.
He's really a good pickup for them.
I'm just going to say, we saw last night that a 10-0 lead in the second inning wasn't safe in the National League East, so don't write off 3-0 early here.
Right now, he certainly can't give in to Kepler. I don't think he has any intention to do that. He's probably thinking about a changeup. We'll see what James is thinking about.
2-0. It is a changeup, and it's cued back to the mound. Lucas can't handle it, and now runners will be at first and third. That's error number 3 of the inning against the best defense according to defensive runs saved in Major League Baseball.
And here comes Don Cooper. Lucas is out of the inning. He knows it. This one takes a strange hop and just eats him up. So you got runners at the corner, still 2 outs. Lucas is at the 47 pitch mark. We're in the second inning.
There you see Lucas by days of rest.
6+ days. This is the 6th. 5.68 ERA. Now, this inning is not all Lucas's fault. He's made some bad pitches, but obviously 3 errors in the inning, something that the Sox haven't done a whole lot of, and they're picking a bad time to do it here tonight.
Sox had 1 error in the 5 games against Pittsburgh and Kansas City. Polanco, strike 1. Good changeup, a lot of horizontal movement there. 0-2, tailing away.
That's what you got him looking at last inning.
That was not where he wanted that fastball, for sure.
No, we're seeing in this inning alone probably more missed spots than Lucas had in the entire no-hitter. Instead of being up and out of the strike zone, this is belt high and down the middle. And here's the change. Let's see if he can float it out away.
Beautiful. Took his bat right out of his hand, literally. Minnesota gets 3, a lot of time left. Sox still having fun pregame and hoping to come back against Minnesota. A rough and tumble defensive bottom of the second inning, unlike what we've seen this year from this team, including 2 very sure-handed players, and include Lucas in that as well, as Engel takes a strike. But Engel and Madrigal with errors, and then Giolito with the 3rd one.
So here's the thing. Honesty compels me to tell you that that was the worst inning of the year. So things have to get better. Lucas is going to put everything out of his mind, and now it's up to the offense.
An offense that, again, has torched left-handed pitching. Rich Hill, who, you know, typically gets you 3-4 innings or so. As you see the defensive run saved this year, this has been by far the best defensive team in Major League Baseball. And this last inning was the outlier, certainly. But Rich Hill's longest start is 5 in his 3 starts, and the other 2 have not gone through the 3rd. So will the Sox see him second time through? What will he have second time through? And how will they handle the Twins bullpen tonight?
Well, look, Rich Hill has averaged less than 4 innings per start, so you got to figure they're going to go to the pen early. You know that Rocco Baldelli is thinking about that. But first, Sox offense going to have to put some pressure on Rich Hill.
Two and two. I should say a couple of 5-inning starts, 1, 2, and 2/3, but he's got a short one and then 2 that are pretty much right in the middle. But the Brewers got to him in the 3rd inning in his middle start, August the 19th, 4 earned runs and 2 2/3 on 4 hits. He also walked 3.
It'll be nice to get the first walk here.
Deep breath from Adam Engel.
Well, when you're one of the guys who made an error the last inning, you want to atone for it.
And he does. Ball 4. Hill misses with a fastball up and away, and the Sox have the leadoff man aboard as Nick Madrigal comes up. And he's been swinging a very good baseball bat. 2 hits on Saturday and then 3 more on Sunday.
He also makes contact. And odds are overwhelming. He'll make some contact here.
You watch the swing path of Nick Madrigal. He'll hit it anywhere. Where it's pitched to him, he can handle it no matter what.
Well, with that in mind, the Twins are playing him exactly dead straight away in the outfield. No bias at all, despite the fact that normally he goes to right and right center field.
That was a throw to first that wasn't exactly shrouded in secrecy.
Nope, not going to pick anybody off with that one.
Little chopper in front of the plate, and no play for anybody. Jeffers looked at first, nobody home. Nick Madrigal an infield single, and the Sox suddenly have the tying run aboard, or up at the plate, I should say.
That's exactly what Nick is going to do in this lineup. He's going to make contact, this time just far enough so Jeffers couldn't get to it in time. And making contact, putting the ball in play, is a good thing. The only thing he has to be careful of, if you watched him run to first, he was in on the grass. If Jeffers had gotten the ball and made the throw, it could have been interference because he's well inside the line on the grass. Fortunately, no throw.
Usually you get that call if you make the throw as Tim swings through strike 1. By the way, one transaction to tell you about. Ryan Goins designated for assignment, and Yolmer Sanchez is back with the White Sox after heading to San Francisco briefly.
I think the boys were very happy to see the reunion with Yolmer, and hopefully he can chip in to what has been a great effort so far. Interesting when a pitcher runs at the man at second when nobody's covering the bag. As quick as Rich is at 40 years old, he's not going to outrun Adam trying to get back.
There's number 5. Back in a White Sox uniform. Yeah, Rich Hill, good athlete in his own right, but Adam Engel was too, as we showed you a couple weeks ago with his punt return quarterback highlight film.
Rich, a Michigan man?
He is. Fouled back, 0-2 on TA.
The infield and the outfield for the Twins so far, nothing close to what we saw with Kansas City. I mean, they're not shifting a whole lot on anybody to this point.
Well, you got a guy behind the plate in Jeffers who's got 17 major league at bats. You have Rich Hill, who has half of 17 major league teams. And so you wonder who's in charge of the battery tonight.
Well, I'm sure Rich is calling his own game, but they went over it beforehand to see what he wanted to do with these guys.
It's a well-timed grunt from Rich Hill, by the way.
Well, interestingly enough, what he's trying to do with Tim, and Tim is trying to figure out right now, Hill, who's not a fastball pitcher, is throwing him a lot of fastballs.
See the batting average with 2 strikes. Tim is at 277. James McCann at 286. You want what's led to the Sox offensive success? It's 2-strike hits. And Tim, who was mulling it over, saw a curveball that time, so now he rifles through again to wonder what he's going to get this time.
Well, you would think the sequence would dictate another high fastball. Eloy waiting for his next opportunity. He hit one very hard back at Rich Hill in his only at bat.
And Lucas waits it all out on the bench as Tim nearly got smoked with a fastball knee high.
You really don't see left-handers dropping down sidearm to right-handers very much, but Rich Hill at this point of his career, he's got all the tricks. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere when there's nobody on base we see some quick pitches from him. We see a lot of different things trying to give hitters different looks.
Time called for a moment. Rich Hill will take a little bit of a walk.
I think what happened, I think Tim on the backswing tipped Jeffers behind the plate, and then DJ Rayburn called timeout.
There's your quick pitch.
I mean, that's what you got to do when your stuff tops out with a good breeze at 90 miles an hour and you've been around as long as Rich Hill. And what Tim is telling himself by that is get your hands out more quickly. He's beating you inside. He's telling himself the man's beating you inside.
So you see that as a pitcher, you see that motion. What do?
You throw him a curveball that goes from outside in.
Speed him up, slow him down. 1-2. He came in with a fastball and Tim loops it to second base. 1 out, second pop out to second for Tim, and now the big story presented by Kia. It is the AL playoff picture. The Sox right now are tied for first in the AL Central, guaranteed postseason spot. Twins are the best wild card team in the best division in baseball, the AL Central so far. And you look at the potential playoff matchup if it started today, it would be White Sox-Yankees. Sox in second place due to the tie with the Indians, and Cleveland having the better record head-to-head.
Long way to go still with the Indians. Sox can make up for that one certainly. Right now, for one of the few times all year long, the Sox have their own destiny in their hands.
Sox will see Cleveland for one more series, Minnesota for one more series as well. The Indians and Royals are scoreless through 2.5 at the Big K tonight. Angle at second, Madrigal at first. Wow, that had a ton of movement. 0-2.
Yeah, that's his sidearm curveball. The only thing that makes a sidearm fastball effective to a right-hand hitter that he showed to Anderson is showing him this, the sidearm curveball, because if hitters know every time you drop down sidearm you're going to have only one or the other, it's not going to be all that effective.
That was perverse and often baffling. 0-2. Oh, fastball. Veteran, 17 years his elder. Ace Eloy Jimenez there, 2 down.
I'm thinking this is a much better at bat for Jose this time. He was pretty much baffled the first time up. He's seen him once. Key situation. Got to at the very least drive in a run. Let's see how Jose, who is a very adaptable hitter, handles Hill this time.
Jose to left field on a line. He got jammed, and Rosario puts it away. Sox lead 2 and trail by 3.
Giolito against Nelson Cruz. So a slider on the first pitch, a slider on the second pitch. Then he misses, and he misses. So now what do? You throw a fastball right by him at 97. That is the fastest fastball Lucas has thrown tonight.
Well, he knows it. He knows how important Cruz has been to this series, this individual matchup. And Nelson Cruz, who hit 54 home runs combined last year and this year, 37 of those 54 have come against the American League Central.
It's kind of interesting what James McCann has done 2 pitches in a row. He calls the pitch, then he takes his eyes off Lucas and he looks at the eyes of Cruz. He wants to see if Cruz is trying in his peripheral vision to see where he's setting up. Now Cruz was way late at 94. That meant he was looking slider. And veteran hitters, they don't have to look down at the catcher. All they have to do is look toward their dugout. They can see the catcher in their peripheral vision. And if they can see the catcher, they know. They don't know what pitch is called. They just know it's going to be outside.
Nice catch by James McCann to present it for the plate umpire Rayburn. That is a guy who's improved his framing a lot.
That's been the biggest improvement of James McCann. His ability to steal some strikes. That is something that Yasmani Grandal does very well. And so quickly that you almost don't notice, he's able to take this pitch, which is off the plate, and you just bring it back ever so slightly. I've seen catchers just work with their wrist. One way or the other, move their wrist so they don't move the glove. Cruz can't believe it, but he's a strikeout victim twice.
That may be the best, softest catch James McCann has had in his White Sox career.
You saw what he did there also on the last pitch was exactly what he's been working on. The low pitch, he's down lower, he extends his leg, and he's lifting the glove up with the low pitch to make it appear higher. He's stealing strikes that way also.
High fastball 0-2, and Lucas is making him dance again.
Well, this is the Lucas that threw the no-hitter. The Lucas that has come out this inning.
Another fastball that missed its mark, I believe.
Yeah, look, the leadoff walk last inning to Rosario really set up the inning. And Lucas got ahead, but he couldn't throw that high strike for strike 3. James wants it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went back again. Let's see.
I was going to say maybe changeup. Yeah, he went right back to the fastball, and Jose's there for out number 2.
It still wasn't as high as James wanted it. Turned into a line drive. We told you that Rosario is a very good high ball hitter. One of the few left-handers that does that. And when you don't get it high enough, it produces line drives. This is just above belt high, and Rosario hit the daylights out of it. Fortunately, right at Jose.
The decision to go high fastball there is twofold, right? One of that, part of the reason is you want Lucas to have the confidence to know you're going to call the pitch again to show that he can throw it there.
Well, he needs that pitch to be successful. He's used it the last couple of years, and he uses it well. And right now, he's just not throwing it there.
Again, same thing.
And he's the one who realizes, and he's a little disappointed in himself because the mechanics aren't quite where they need to be. When he's gone up, he's gone way up out of the zone, and he can't get what has been a staple of his repertoire down tonight. Yes, he did swing.
Yeah, absolutely. 1-2. So mechanically, what do you think it is that's leading to the fastball not rising like he wants it to?
I honestly believe that he's got so much adrenaline tonight that he's trying to throw it maybe a little bit harder. He's not as relaxed. What happens when you try to throw hard, your hand tightens on the baseball. You're so keyed up to throw a harder than hard fastball. And remember, 97 to Cruz the first inning, that showed how amped he was. That stops you from that really good touch and feel that pitchers have to throw it exactly where they want it.
That was it.
That was much better. The difference being that McCann wanted it in, Lucas got it out, but he got it high enough. Sano is a dead low ball hitter. He doesn't like sliders. He doesn't like high fastballs. Now he gets beaten with that fastball because he's tardy on it. Lucas pulls it just a little bit, gets under it.
That was a hanging slider, and it's drilled to left center field and gone. Miguel Sano has his 8th home run against the Sox in the last 2 seasons, and it's 4-0 Minnesota.
That's his 7th. He's driven in 15. He's 2 for 2. And Lucas got on the side of that one, did not get over the top, and that's why it went out of the ballpark. Watch it again. This is just a hanger. I mean, you see the spin. It's supposed to come down. It doesn't. It stays up even though it's out away. Sano just too strong. And too good a home run hitter to miss that.
Fastball and a strike to Arise, who drove a run in the second inning. Well, there are two factors. Lucas had just thrown the no-hitter, and number two, this Minnesota Twins team has 2019 AL Central champions on its mantle. Good changeup. That's been his best pitch tonight, Steve.
Well, that's been the one that he can consistently command. The slider and the location of the fastball, not so much. Arise, who's not used to swinging and missing very much, by the way. Disappointed in the call of DJ Rayburn, but it appeared that he went around.
Another changeup caught the middle of the plate. Robert is underneath, and the inning is over. 2-out home run for Sano, and the Sox trail by 4. Edwin next.
Sox need to put him in a good mood tonight with a win, because he just found out there are no more vacant condos in Del Boca Vista Phase 3. Here is your Sox math question.
I don't know what we got going on, Pete. Sox Math presented by GMC. We are professional grade. You telling me there's nowhere to live in Del Boca Vista? Walk-off wins the Sox had last series multiplied by Robert's jersey number plus home runs he's hit entering tonight minus his age. I don't know why we had Ted the Bear. Like we had a chess game going on. We had Seinfeld. Pinol's having a good old time.
Yep. Well, the Seinfelds have taken up all the room apparently. Del Boca Vista.
Well, you know, when Morty tried to be condo board president, it became trouble for everybody.
Yep, that and the pen.
Right's upside down. 2-0 for Edwin. And there is a strike. 2-1 to Edwin Encarnacion. Sox got 2 on in the third and didn't score. Engel and Madrigal a walk and a single. And 40-year-old Rich Hill decided, you know what, let's not throw.
You can always tell veteran pitchers.
Because they stop throwing?
No, especially those that don't throw hard. And I'll tell you why. One, they're old, but also they throw the fastball 3 different pitches. He throws his fastball 90 miles an hour. He throws it 88, and the one that he threw for a strike was 86. Then you get to 3-1 where everybody in the world's thinking fastball. He drops a hook on you.
And it wasn't even the slow hook. That was a sharp break. Three and 2. Upstairs, ball 4. Second leadoff walk tonight for the Sox. Oh boy.
Follow our Sox insider Adam Hogue at NBCSportsChicago.com, presented by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Get to enjoy knowing the Vuk as much as you do the jingle at JeffVuk.com. Because Nationwide is on your side. I think we got better as we went along. We need another verse.
We need a pitch pipe again.
Yep, well, or a foghorn.
Another verse.
How about a run?
Okay, we can agree on that. Everybody could agree on that. First pitch inside, ball 1, and Jeffers with the double clutch that signals something to the plate umpire DJ Rayburn. Downstairs, 2-0.
This is what you like to see. You like to see Rich Hill struggling somewhat because
Nationwide is on your side.
Well, that, and also now James disregards a curveball. He's looking fastball. End of story. If he gets a curveball, you take it unless he hangs it.
Two and 0. It's downstairs a fastball. 3-0.
Well, best way to get yourself in trouble, the best way to start to give back a 4-run lead is to start walking people. No concern yet in that dugout. You walk another and there's going to start to be a little concern.
3-1 on McCann. That's a hook, and it's ball 4. So, as you said, quickest way to start to give away a lead. 2 on with the walk, and time now for our Geico Make It Easy profile as we focus on Luis Robert. Last 2 weeks worth of games. A home run every 2 games. So look, Luis Robert did something yesterday that he says he has never done in his career at any level. Hit a walk-off home run. He said, I've had walk-offs, I've had singles, I've had sacrifice flies, I've had all of it, but that one was special because I've never hit a walk-off home run, and you watched it in the 10th inning yesterday.
Well, you said he hits a home run every 2 games. Does that mean we have to wait till tomorrow, or can he deviate from the pattern and make this a lot closer?
You take one right now and then give one away for the next 2 days? You okay with that?
Yeah, I would think that'd be a viable trade. He didn't see much the first time. He saw 1 pitch, 1 hook, ground to third base. And Rich Hill doesn't like the signs given to him by Jeffers, so he stepped off a couple of times.
If you're looking ahead in this game, the Twins bullpen comes into the day with a very strong 3.78 ERA. That is 7th in Major League Baseball. So you'd love to get a couple off Rich Hill before he departs this game, whenever that might be.
Well, this is a sign that Rich Hill's arm is deserting him, because that great curveball that he had early, he's hanging every one this inning. And when he tries to get a little something extra on it, it rolls. So Wes Johnson, the pitching coach, is taking a long look at him right now.
That's a ball. He didn't give it as Jeffers brought it up into the zone. 3-0.
Jeffers really did a nice job, because that ball was down, but he made it look better than it was for actually starting to go up with the catch.
Green light?
Nope. Now, big flashing green light.
Well,
but if the pattern holds true, it'll be a curveball that spins up and out of the zone. Let's see what Hill decides to do.
3-1. The curveball in. 3-2. It was up.
Yeah, it was out of the zone, but Luis was swinging anyway.
What do you throw here?
But look, you got a 2-pitch pitcher. You can throw 2 types of curves. I'm thinking a breaking ball. Maybe you get him to expand his zone.
He didn't. Nice take. Ball 4. And the Sox have the bases loaded with nobody out in the 4th inning.
You'd think that Wes Johnson would come out. We'll see.
Well, let me say this. While I was showing you our Geico Make It Easy profile, Wes Johnson came out to the mound. So I had smoke screened you.
Oh, did he?
With Geico.
Did he tell him that you might want to walk the bases loaded and we'll try to get out of it?
Yeah, it wasn't a great message.
In the meantime, Denny Mendick hit the ball as hard as anybody in this lineup the first time through.
Strike 1.
Got Tyler Duffy throwing in the bullpen.
Yeah, the curveball is absolutely betraying him right now.
And if you're on that bench, you're thinking, okay, if I can get 4 out of this guy, I'm probably feeling pretty good about it. 60th pitch coming. Nobody out.
Best pitch Danny's going to see in the sequence, probably. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Must have been looking curveball there.
Yeah, 88 right down the middle. And he's got to shorten his swing. Contact essential in this situation.
It's a curveball. It's floated to second. Now it's dropped. And so they're going to throw to second base and get an out there. Toss to first. There's an out there. Back to second and safe. James McCann returns to second base. Did they get the out at first is the question. I think they say safe over at first.
Well, there's a question, too. Did he drop it on purpose? Because
you call infield fly there.
If he drops it on purpose, then quite obviously it's an out. I mean, I'm thinking he dropped it on purpose. I don't think you can miss that ball. And I think it's probably well crafted.
Now the umpires are going to talk this over. There was no signal of infield fly. It certainly could have been in play.
Looked to me like Arraez just missed it on purpose. And then he wanted to start what he thought might have been a triple play. Because he boxes it, but it's right there. Mendick has the first base bag, because if you say the ball was dropped, he's got the first base bag. We'll have to see. We'll let the umpires sort this one out.
Yeah, they need to talk this over because, yes, you're right. Danny Mendick is anchored over there at first base. They're going to talk with the replay room and see what they've got there. Now, Rocco Baldelli is going to come out and talk it over with the umpiring crew, but certainly you could have called infield fly there.
I think what the umpires can do in this situation is say he dropped the ball intentionally. Everybody stays where they are, and that way you kind of bail out the whole inning. But let's see what they're saying here.
I mean, can you retroactively apply the infield fly rule if you're the umpires here? It wasn't called in the moment.
I just don't think it was high enough. And if that's
a judgment call.
It's that construed as a line drive, then quite obviously there is no infield fly. And so I'm thinking everybody stays where they are and they call it, this should have been a catch. He dropped it on purpose. Now, whether he did or not, the umpires can get themselves out of what would be a very unusual situation by saying that he did drop it on purpose.
So they're playing misunderstanding at Target Field, and no stadium has ever gotten it more right. As the umpires are still talking this over, Ricky Renteria has come out.
And now they're going to New York.
This could be a while. Joe McEwing's talking it over. Everybody's on the bench discussing this together.
One of the stranger plays you'll ever see.
So they're going to go to New York, and we'll get the full explanation when we get the replay review bulletin after this is through. Now let's take another look. I mean, this is a judgment call on infield fly, and is it high enough? Certainly is a question. Arraez drops the ball, and so you've got everybody running around like crazy.
Well, if it's infield fly, it's really easy because everybody then stays at their bag.
You got back at second base James McCann. I mean, what I see there is that Robert is out at first, and it's bases loaded, one out. Based on that look, because if it's dropped, there's no force.
If it's infield fly, then
Mendick's the one that's out.
Mendick is out. He goes, and everybody stays there. And right now, nobody knows where anybody goes.
Well, but as you think about it, I don't think they can retroactively call the infield fly rule. I've been mulling that over in my mind, and we're flipping through the rule book up here as well.
I think what has to happen is you say that it was dropped intentionally and you have one out and the bases remain loaded. I think that maybe is a resolution to this, but we'll see. I mean, this is, if not unprecedented, it's very rare. You got everybody on the phones. And even in New York, they're sitting kind of confused as to what's going on.
The ball, pardon me, I get choked up in long replay sequences.
Well, this is emotional.
Yeah, look. The ball gets dropped. Watch it again. Let's just break down the play as it stands right now, assuming that they won't retroactively signal infield fly rule. The ball is dropped, so Roberts going back to second base. McCann is off of second. Now he's back to second. That's not going to be an out anywhere. James is off the bag, but that's not an out. There's no out there.
Nobody tagged him.
Unless it's Robert who's out at, well, Robert would be out at second base. It's a force on Robert. McCann's not out. Robert would be out at second base, and that would be the end of it. Mendick would be at first, McCann at second. I don't know what signal is going to do the trick. Out at first. So I think it's going to be bases loaded, one out, as we expected.
That to me is the only thing that makes any sense. Now, Rocco Baldelli is not going to be real happy with the resolution of this. But as far as the Sox are concerned, that's about the best you can ask for. And you kind of get bailed out by saying, you know, he dropped the ball intentionally, so everybody stays where they are. No harm, no foul. There was no tags. That's good. And we start from there.
One out, first pitch, ball one to Adam Engel. So it was actually simpler than it looked. You had the force out at second base of Robert. Nobody else got tagged when they were off the bag. And frankly, credit to James McCann for being aware enough to know that he had to anchor himself. He came off for a brief second, but nobody tagged him when he did. And off we go. Late swing by Adam. It was tipped foul, 1-1.
Adam had a very nice at bat leading off last inning. He drew a walk. And it started off what looked like going to be a good inning. First and second, nobody out, but didn't come to anything.
Upstairs, 2-1.
There are just times when you need a key base hit. Sox got to come away with something this inning, and preferably a crooked number.
On the ground and through, base hit, there it is. One run home, here comes the second. Adam Engel, a two-run single, and the lead split in half.
RBIs number 7 and 8. As the Sox battle their way back into this. He waits long enough on a breaking ball, and the breaking ball this inning has lost any semblance of a quick break. So right now you got a struggling left-hander on the mound. You get a team that tortures left-handers, and the lead is split in half.
Now time called, and here comes Rocco Baldelli. Before Rich Hill could throw his next pitch, Rocco said no more of this.
I honestly, before the game, mentioned to a fellow who tweeted in about this one, I said Rich Hill can't go 5 innings. And he was sailing along pretty good, but this inning you could see that curveball was gone. He's going to leave this one as Rocco goes to the bullpen. We'll step out, and we'll be back.
Yes.
Well, look no further than the White Sox Talk podcast, even you, featuring the one and only Chuck Garfien. Listen to Chuck and company break down the biggest Sox storylines. Subscribe for free today.
Even me? What do you mean by that?
Well, even you can subscribe for free. So our Lakeside Bank called to the pen. Lakeside Bank, it's about time. And the Sox looking for more. Tyler Duffy coming in. He's been pretty tough in the games we've seen him. He's been a busy man, on for the 14th time. ERA of 2.13. See 16 strikeouts and 12 2/3. Really good breaking ball. We've seen that. He's only walked 2. And left-handers, right-handers, he's gotten them both out while allowing a couple of home runs. And our best contact man will face him.
Nick Madrigal against Duffy, top 4, first pitch a strike. I want to go back to the infield fly rule discussion for a moment, because in the definition in the rule book, it says the umpires shall immediately declare infield fly. So based on what I'm reading, you can't retroactively go ahead and do that. I mean, it's a little bit squishy, but you could say that the result was basically what the infield fly would have brought you, but you can't retroactively declare it. And so we're through the sort of pop-up. Ordinary effort is the standard for an infield fly. That's when you can call it for an umpire, and the question is, was that ordinary effort? There's no indication in the rule book of how high an infield fly has to be called an infield fly. That's all you need to know about the infield fly rule. As Madrigal tips it foul, it's 0-2.
Well, Nick's got a strikeout pitcher on the mound in a situation that cries out for contact. And he's got a very short swing anyway. It's going to have to be shorter against Duffy. Danny Mendick on third, and that's a big run. Gets the Sox within one with a long way to go in this one.
In the dirt and stomach down by Jeffers. That's a huge play to save a run.
Save a run and the tying run in scoring position. He buries this one. Great play by Jeffers. Sliding to his right, squares up the ball so it hits him right in the chest protector and doesn't bound away. That was one of the real good plays of the night.
Good snap on the breaking ball. Strike three. First base occupied. No need to run. 2 down. And TA's going to bat. Tough to strike out that young man, Nick Madrigal, but Duffy did right there.
Turns out to be a pitch out of the zone. And Nick expands that zone. Not been his best night so far, but there's a long way to go in this one.
That looked like it was a cross-up.
I think he was looking for a slider, and he got the fastball because he seems to be a pretty good catcher from what we've seen tonight. And that time he really fought that ball. Tim's happy to see Rich Hill out of there.
For 2 pop outs to second base that were caught.
Danny Mendick has got to come down with the pitch because Duffy will bury that breaking ball. Trying to maybe get a little something extra on it to Tim.
Yeah, he did. Downstairs, check swing. It's 2-0. Ooh, 93. Tim just a little bit behind it.
You look at fastball all the way, but couldn't catch up with it.
He lays off 3 balls and a strike. Duffy sounds like a big hockey fan.
Well, he's a little unhappy that the slider's not in the zone. So Tim probably looking fastball. You look fastball, you adjust to the breaking ball, and so far Duffy hasn't shown he can get that slider over the plate.
Great location, 3-2, and late drop on that as well.
He's got his fastball, but that was as perfect a pitch as you could make.
Down, ball 4. Good take. Walk number 4 in the inning for the White Sox, and Eloy Jimenez comes up with the bases loaded.
Eloy, another one of those guys, happy to see Rich Hill out of there.
Breaking ball grounded to third. Marwin Gonzalez with a nice play. A hittable breaking ball. And the bases are left loaded, but the Sox draw closer. Adam Engel pushes 2 across. 4-2 after just 3.5.
Time for your T-Mobile ticket to the game as we look at comparison of 2019 Twins and this season's White Sox. You look at home runs, well, Twins were first. Batting average second. Sox first this year. Weighted on base, I mean, it's so similar. What the Twins did last year in adding power, the Sox did this year in adding power. It's a game that loves the power. They love home runs. Twins added it last year. Sox added it this year.
Each team added a veteran starting pitcher, at least one of them last year as well, to go along with it. But Nelson Cruz was the guy for Minnesota. The Sox added the combination of Yasmani Grandal and Edwin Encarnacion. We haven't seen Edwin do what Cruz did last year as yet, but they had similar numbers when they showed up.
And Luis Robert is a big factor also.
1 ball, 1 strike on Marwin Gonzalez, who reached on one of the 3 White Sox errors in the second inning. Now for Lucas Giolito, a long stir on the bench, very long. How do you deal with that?
You asked DJ Rayburn to take some extra pitches because that was a inordinately long half inning. And Lucas also knows if he's looking for another rush of adrenaline, his team has gotten halfway back. What looked like pretty big lead now is cut in half. Now he's close. Now he knows he's got a ball club with the Thunder to come back in this game, but it's up to him. And he's already at 72 pitches. You got to feel this is not going to be for him the longest outing that he's experienced recently.
Changeup. I mean, Minnesota's seen it over and over again, and you're still getting ugly swings like that.
But they're also battling. I mean, we saw it the first at bat with Kepler. That was an extended at bat. Took 7 pitches. That kind of set the tone for some long at bats tonight, getting the amount of pitches up early. That and certainly a struggling second where he couldn't spot the ball.
Strike 3. He lobbed in a changeup. Tell you what, if Gonzalez was peeking back at McCann, he thought it was a fastball.
Just a pretty good pitch. Throws it right there. You see the grip. You see the result. Now, it looks, when you slow it down like that, it looks like how in the world could the umpire ever be fooled by a catcher bringing a ball back up that slowly? Well, it's not really all that slowly. In real time, good catchers will buy a lot of strikes.
Go sit behind home plate, or even like just go stand in a batting cage at some point while, you know, somebody throws, or watch a pitching machine from close up. You will be shocked at how different it looks compared to what you see on television. Like in hockey, you forget that everything that they're doing with such grace is happening on skates because you take it for granted. The pitch speed in baseball is something that the TV doesn't adequately represent.
I think you can really tell, not when you're behind in the stands behind the catcher. You can't really get a sense of velocity. If you're down the line, if you're like in back of the dugout and you watch the ball leave the pitcher's hand to when it gets in the catcher's glove, you'll realize just how quick the reflexes of major league hitters are, because you won't be able to see the ball.
Another high fastball intended, and this one was knee high and a little bit above.
Yeah, I mean, I told you early this was going to be a tougher game for Lucas than the no-hitter, because the no-hitter, he just looked at a spot and threw it there. Looked at a spot, threw it there. Tonight, he looks at a spot, throws it someplace else. That's a battle. Again, he missed the high fastball by 6 inches. And fortunately, so did Cave. Whole lot of pitches early in this one.
1-2. Changeup sailed. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out. A high changeup. And 7 strikeouts for Lucas tonight.
Lucas is one of the few pitchers I've ever seen that can throw both a low and a high changeup. High changeups to left-handers are pretty effective. To right-handers, not so much. Low changeups to left-handers are pretty effective also, and Lucas has them both. So even if you guess changeup, and that's 1 of 3, so that's 33%. If you guess changeup, it's 33%, but you can't guess if it's going to be up or down. So that even makes it more difficult for hitters to think with Lucas and James McCann.
One jumped out of his hand. 2 balls, no strikes on Jeffers, who was a preferred walk-on at North Carolina Wilmington, turned into a 3rd-year pro making his major league debut this season. Mercurial rise for the Twins' young catcher Jeffers. And this is past Jose at first. And the Twins have a runner on.
Jeffers has been up twice. He's hit the ball hard twice. The fly out in the 2nd inning was pretty deep. This time he hit it hard. And this is to the left of Jose. He can't corral it. Just barely getting a glove on it. And it keeps the inning alive. You got a left-hander up and a pull hitting left-hander. I don't like to see Jose on the bag. I like to see him behind the base runner. You got a catcher at first base. To me, behind him is a much better spot with a guy that pulls the ball like Kepler. But so far, Jose is on the bag. And Sox bullpen up and going.
High fastball swung through, strike 2 after James might have snuck him another strike on the first pitch. Cody Hoyer, right-hander out of Wichita State, with the nasty sinker getting loose. Kurt Hassler's watchful eye. That was middle as well, and Jose makes a play for out number 3 to the 5th. And the White Sox trailing 4-2, top of the 5th inning. We thank you for joining us. Our entire crew. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. And it's a pleasure to have you along as the Sox got 2 back in the 4th, and it will be Abreu, Encarnacion, and McCann against a very good bullpen in the Minnesota Twins, with Rich Hill bounced after 3 1/3.
There's been a lot in this ball game already, and we're only in the top of the 5th.
Duffy's got really sharp stuff. The slider's good. The fastball moves.
He's also throwing the fastball right exactly on the outside corner. Twins bullpen up and going. I don't think that Wes Johnson, Rocco Baldelli will let Duffy get in any trouble in this one. And it's our old friend Tyler Clippard. This game is moving too fast. They want to bring in Tyler.
Jose with a rocket past Polanco. And Abreu safe at first. Tying run comes up with Encarnacion.
Jose hit the ball pretty well last time, only he hit it right at Rosario. This time was a rocket, and Polanco could not make the play. I mean, that was a one-hop rocket and just scooted under the glove. As a look at Tyler Clippard.
Check swing. Edwin wants the appeal for some reason.
Yeah, that's not what you do, actually, because because Rayburn didn't call a strike. The last thing Edwin wants is the appeal to Las Diaz.
We judge the defendant not guilty. I demand an appeal, Your Honor. What? Ooh, the Sox have let a couple go by against Duffy. They must not expect much fastball from Tyler Duffy.
He's been hitting his spots with it and surprising some people. And after a relatively hard throwing right-hander, Clippard's going to look like a real challenge.
Well, we've got two guys who definitely leaned into the turn in their nicknames in their first go around in Major League Baseball in these bullpens. You have the Yankee Clippard and National Debt Ross Detweiler in the White Sox bullpen. Ross's Twitter handle for a while during his Washington career was @National Debt.
It was rising.
Some you just can't dodge. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Edwin.
That one-hop rocket was 110 plus miles an hour off the bat of Abreu. I think if you check out the expected batting average on something like that, it's got to be in the neighborhood of 700.
That swerves outside, so it's 3-2 on Edwin. And yes, the power numbers have not been there so far, but his patience has been. Edwin just took a walk and scored in the 4th. McCann next. Edwin checked his swing and he did not go. It's ball 4. Sox once again start the inning with 2 on it. We get you caught up. Brought to you by Honda City. Luis Arraez with an RBI single in the 2nd inning. That made it 1-0 Minnesota. And then a couple of errors in the inning. 3 in fact. Madrigal with a throw through the runner. It's wide to Tim Anderson. Minnesota took a 3-0 lead. It was then 4-0 with Miguel Sano, but the Sox have been on the comeback trail.
They got back courtesy of Adam Engel. A base hit cut the lead in half. That's where we stand, but the Sox looking for more here in the 5th, and Duffy in a jam.
Edwin Encarnacion mentioned the patience. He's got 8 walks in his last 11 games, including the 2 today. And James couldn't lay off the breaking ball. 0-1.
Well, Duffy really has shown a couple of different things. One, he's got pretty decent command of the fastball, although he is pulling some with him wide. But the slider looks like it's going to be a strike. It's just consistently out of the zone. It's tough to lay off because it looks like a knee-high fastball.
Back to Duffy. He looks at third, throws there, and they get the lead runner Abreu.
That's just that's a horrible play. Duffy is probably thinking to himself, why in the world did I do that? Because that is a routine go to second, throw to first. You got to catch a running. You get the double play. By going to third, you only get 1 out. I mean, it's an easy 2. You got Edwin, who doesn't run well, James, who doesn't run well, and instead they just get the lead man and the force out. The Sox will take that.
And Marwin Gonzalez was the most shocked man in the ballpark. The ball came to him and he was like, what? Strike 1 to Robert. Let's watch this again.
Duffy doesn't hesitate. For whatever reason, he goes immediately to third after a couple of pats of the glove, and Marwin's got no play. And he goes, well, that probably is not the best choice.
He just rolled his eyes at himself.
Yeah. You don't get a whole lot of breaks in games like this. Should be runner at third and 2 outs. Instead, 2 on.
In the air, just got inside on him. First base, Sano sturdies himself and makes the catch for out number 2.
Well, that was the infield fly rule. As soon as Sano set up facing the infield fly rule is called. If he's going to run out with his back to the infield, they're not going to call the infield fly rule. So right here, it's not in play. As soon as he turns, That's when most likely Les Diaz says infield fly.
It's about whether or not it could ordinarily have been handled by an infielder, not by some arbitrary limitations such as the grass or the baselines, is the official wording in the rule book. So if it's an infielder, even if it's well past the dirt, it doesn't matter.
As long as he sets up, if he's setting up, he's going to get the call. This is a big at bat for Danny Mendick. First and second, nobody out, and Danny can drive a run home.
Up high, 2 balls, no strikes.
Got to look for a fastball here if you're Danny Mendick. You got a pitcher you know struggling with that slider.
Two and one. Fastball has gone by 3 times from Duffy in a hitter's count for the Sox so far. They got to be looking slider, Steve.
2-0. You can't be looking slider from a guy who hasn't thrown a slider in the strike zone.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's
to shortstop Polanco, and that will do it. 6 and 4 on the fielder's choice. Bottom 5. Sox still down 2. Anger in some dugouts, some happiness in some dugouts, and we'd like to welcome our viewers in Elwood and Lost Nation, Iowa, watching on LNE Communications.
Where is that?
It's right next to Jake and Lost Nation, Iowa. Jorge Polanco will lead off here in the 5th and take ball 1.
Well, don't worry, we're going to find it soon. And for Lucas, this is probably going to be his last inning, and he would like to finish it with the score exactly where it is now.
88 pitches deep after a lengthy second inning that featured 3 errors, and that one is sky high to right for Adam Engel. And so we get the opportunity to get a sneak peek at what's coming up on White Sox Postgame Live, presented by Subaru. Frank Thomas, Ozzie Guillen, and Chuck Garfien. Chock full, Chuck. Chuck, Ozzie, Frank, thank you very much. We look forward to postgame, and we certainly hope the Sox are still in first place when we visit with you, as that is going to be a strike. 1-1.
Well, so far, this classic confrontation has gone Lucas's way. Strikeout swinging, strikeout looking. Can't check his swing, evens the count.
Oh, yeah, that one dropped off. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So McCann, he put the glove up as if, okay, it's a high fastball. If you're peeking back or looking, high fastball, until it was a low slider.
Another slider. You said it early. A lot of sliders for Cruz. We showed you his batting average against breaking balls, and Lucas has 3 strikeouts in Nelson Cruz.
And for a normal pitcher who has a choice between the curveball and the slider is much better. Lucas has pretty much abandoned the curveball, and so his slider, at least to Cruz tonight, his slider has been unbelievably good. So he's quickly dispatched 2 hitters here, and now you have to worry about Rosario, who hit the ball very hard. Cruz is just shaking his head. 3 strikeouts against a guy that he usually torments, but not tonight.
To your point, Lucas has not thrown a curveball in 3 starts.
No, I mean, that's for him now. He doesn't need it. It's a change. Let's see if he can fool Rosario.
Popped up. Oh, yeah, he did. A fooled and his bat are soon parted. To the 6th, 4-2.
Department of Transportation safe drive of the game, and it comes off the bat of Adam Engel. This one through the left side. Drives home 2. Cuts the lead in half. That's where it stands. And Engel's had a very good night.
But he may not bat here with the right-hander Clippard on.
Tyler Clippard on for the 15th time. His ERA a minuscule 1.23. He's 1-0. You see only 2 walks, 15 strikeouts, and 14 2/3. He is a master of the straight change. He throws it a couple different ways. You can't look for too much on the fastball, but because he throws strikes with just about everything, it's really hard to just sit and wait for a fastball. Most hitters don't do that, so we'll see how Nomar Mazara fares against him.
Clippard's throwing more splitter this year, too. About a quarter of the time he throws a split finger pitch. We'll see what Mazara gets a look at. Nomar on for Engel, who reached twice. Called a strike.
Looked like a bit of a generous outside corner. TJ Rayburn's had a good day behind the plate. That one might have been a touch generous.
By the way, in Kansas City, where first place tying Cleveland leads 1-0. It's bottom of the 7th inning. Kansas City batting with 1 out. As Mazara flips the ball to left, and that is down. Nomar Mazara has himself a leadoff pinch hit single in the 6th. Experience the all-inclusive Guaranteed Rate Club in 2021. This private club includes in-seat service, parking, and unlimited food and beverage. Ticket packages start at 20 games, include flexible payment plans and postseason options. And for more information, call or text 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com.
You know that Nick is grinding right here. This has not been one of his most liked games to this point. But the good thing about this game, you get redeemers. And here's an opportunity to put some pressure on Tyler Clippard and the Twins.
Fastball fouled off. Strike 1 to Nick Madrigal. Reminder, the Sox and Indians came into today tied for first place in the AL Central. Minnesota a game and a half behind at 20-15. Tomorrow, Dallas Keuchel on the hill for the Sox. Reynaldo Lopez scheduled for game 3. Madrigal base hit left-hand side. The Sox continue to have the first 2 runners on in innings. That makes 4 straight innings. The first 2 batters at least have reached.
Well, so far the Twins are leading a charmed life, but now we move to the top. This one almost magically guided through the left side. No chance for Polanco. Nick now 2 for 3.
He's 12 for his last 20 now, and you can't help but see the similarities between Nick Madrigal and Luis Arraez. One's a lefty, one's a righty.
Yeah, but right, you're not going to expect much power out of them. The difference is that Arraez has been around a bit. Nick might still develop a little bit of power, but he's not. That's not going to be a big part of his game.
But the bat control is very similar, and what they do to balance these lineups is similar.
No, I think they give both teams exactly what they need. In a lineup of bombers, they will put the ball in play and they'll make contact. Tough to strike out Arraez. And even though Nick struck out once tonight, it normally is very tough to strike him out.
The Sox team continues to push. Opportunities all night. And Tim swings through an upstairs fastball, 1-1.
Tim is going to have to make an adjustment because he started to see a lot of high fastballs. They realize how good he is hitting off-speed pitches in the zone, and so when they do go with a fastball to him, they're throwing it upstairs.
That one fades away. 2 balls and a strike from Clippard to TA with Eloy Jimenez next. I mean, if you're an opposing team trying to beat back the current of White Sox offense, it's a constant flow. It's a constant drive toward more runs. And there has been gridlock on the base paths the last 4 innings for the Sox. Off speed, 2-2.
That's the best pitch. That's the thing that's kept Clippard in the major leagues this long, that changeup. Tim talks to Rayburn, asks if it was a strike. He says yes. There's the change. It's normally a real good one. You start swinging at the motion, the ball's not there yet.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Clippard to Anderson. Way outside, gave him a freebie. Now 3 balls, 2 strikes. Non-competitive pitches, really, as you tally them up, they tell so much of the story of a ball game.
Well, Tyler knows that. It's almost he's shaking his head going, you know, I didn't even give him a chance to expand his zone. Best thing that happened last inning was 1-2-3 in the 5th, leaving Lucas with maybe another 15 pitches left. So he's got another inning, or at least starting another inning. He's hoping for the lead.
3-2. Tim hits a changeup in the air, and he knew he just missed it. Kepler in right makes the catch. Mazara from second bluffs a tag. And 1 out for Eloy Jimenez as we quickly give you our Sox Math answer. D. Sheedy 14 is the winner. 2 walk-off wins times 88 for Luis Robert, plus 9 home runs entering tonight, minus 23 his age. 162 the number of games in a regulation season. D. Sheedy 14 is your winner, and you can do the video introducing Sox Math tomorrow. But business here for Eloy Jimenez, who's grounded out twice and struck out once.
Last time up, he missed a very hittable slider.
Good change. 0-1. It toys with your mind, doesn't it? It's right there, and then it's not.
Well, Clippard's been in the big leagues for a long time because he can throw that one for strikes. But you really have to hope he gets careless with a fastball.
Will he throw a fastball? In. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, that was, I don't want you to hit it, I want to show it to you.
AL Central lead hanging in the balance with Cleveland up 1-0 on Kansas City. Still batting in the 7th, the Royals. Sox hitting with 1 out in the top of the 6th. And time called by Jimenez. Mazara led off with a single. Madrigal followed with a base hit. Outside, 2-1. He's pulled a couple, Steve.
Yeah, that's just the inability to square off the outside corner. He sees it, then holds on to it a little too long, trying to make the perfect pitch, knowing that he's facing a real good offensive lineup. His comfort pitch is a straight change.
Eloy's got him in the scope on 2-1. Inside, 3 balls and a strike. He missed on a fastball.
He's thrown 2 in there and missed on both.
You got Abreu next.
Well, if you're looking for a break in this lineup, you're not going to find it. The bottom part of the lineup tonight has yielded 4 hits.
Three 3-1 ripped foul third base side, and somehow it got through the net.
That's how hard it was hit. It looked like Clippard went back to his comfort pitch, the changeup, and Eloy just couldn't wait back enough. You see the grip on it. It's the change. He knows he can throw it for a strike normally whenever he wants to, and that's what he depends on.
Struck him out on the changeup. 2 gone.
Tomorrow, watch Tim, Jose, Eloy, and the rest of the White Sox continue the series against the Twins. Coverage begins at 6:30 on NBC Sports Chicago and streaming on the My Teams app.
Game 2 of the series, Dallas Keuchel against Michael Pineda in his 2020 debut for the Minnesota Twins. Keuchel has been very good. He's been the stalwart number 2 in this rotation.
This is where Jose's got to bail out his teammates. 2 on, nobody out again, and it comes down to Jose.
That's a strike, a climbing fastball. 0-1. The Royals didn't score in the home 7th despite 2 on, nobody out. So 1-0 Cleveland after 7 at Kauffman Stadium. It's going to be a wild final 4 weeks.
Well, they're facing Bieber, so that's not unusual to come away empty.
That one gets away. Jeffers couldn't hang on, and now a Jose Abreu base hit should get the Sox a tie.
We'll take another look. It's a rare curveball, and this one just sneaks away from Jeffers. He didn't shift at all to his right. He's been so good behind the plate tonight. That one just got away. It appears in this at bat Jose is looking off speed pitch the entire at bat.
Ooh, boy,
He got exactly what he was looking for. He waited for the change. He's so right now disappointed in himself. He had gotten to the point where he knew exactly what Clippard was going to do, where he was going to do it, and he fouled it straight back. You can almost see the frustration on his face.
Christmas morning, you can't rip off the bow fast enough. He grips the bat hard. 1-2. Jose takes in the fastball. 2-2.
Look, Clippard doesn't want you to hit that fastball. That's one of the reasons why he's thrown everything in. Jose did have a base hit last inning to keep his streak alive, and the bullpen up and going once again. It's Trevor May, relatively hard throwing right-hander. They got a few of them out there in that pen.
Clippard's faced enough that he could leave the ball game. 2-2. Jose went after a fastball outside.
Well, that was full protection mode because it was too close to take, and at the very last instant he just fouled it off. He's still, you'd have to think he's still looking off speed pitch, but you just can't sit on a straight change.
Mazara and Madrigal hoping to come home. Down 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Best thing on that particular pitch that happened to Clippard was it was not a strike. Because Jose, if you look how he took that pitch, his foot didn't come forward, his hands didn't come forward. He was ready if it was a strike, and unfortunately for him, and fortunately for Clippard, it was out of the zone.
Three and two. 2 on, 2 out. Jose in the air, right center, ties the ball game. A ricochet off the wall, and the Sox kept rapping on the door, and Jose rams it open.
That's what this lineup can do for you. Jose is the premier run producer in this lineup. And Ricky is talking to Giolito right now, possibly if he's got another inning in him. This is a rifled double. It's a sidearm fastball. And bear in mind something. When you go at a veteran hitter and a run producer and you drop down sidearm and you haven't thrown a sidearm changeup and you haven't thrown a sidearm slider, the only thing you've thrown and the only thing you've shown the hitter, if you're going to drop down, it's going to be a fastball. Jose drilled it. Tie game at 4.
How about this offense? Persistence to the max. Trevor May not want to open that door. He was an old Rookie of the Year in 2014, and he's become the alpha on this team. Jose Abreu ties the ball game. This is a tweet from the White Sox account on his teammates talking about Jose Abreu, and everybody there says Abreu is the team's leader, a friend, a father. Says Eloy Jimenez, experience and daily effort, and you see it in situations like we just saw to drive in the tying runs in the 6th inning against a tough Minnesota side.
Well, if there is big runs to be driven in, he's going to drive them in. Our Lakeside Bank call to the pen is Trevor May, on for the 14th time, ERA of 4.25. Big strikeout pitcher.
Edwin takes a rip at a fastball at 96. So you're standing on deck and you're sizing up Tyler Clippard, and he's throwing changeups at 79. And here comes Trevor May out of the bullpen, whipping you with 96.
Edwin can hit a fastball. He's always been able to hit a fastball. You don't hit 30 home runs every year unless you can hit a fastball. It's just a question of getting one that's not letter high.
Jose Abreu just tied Mike Trout for the AL lead in RBIs as Edwin screamed his way out of that fastball.
Well, it was looking for a moment like a face burger, and he figured rather than have his looks rearranged, he would duck out of the way of this. He was screaming before it got there.
He was. It's a Doppler effect. Look, Trevor May's fastball has been hittable this year. Opponents are 10 for 22 against his fastball. That's a .455 batting average. So location wise, there have been some issues for his fastball, but the slider has been very good. It's a fastball at 97, 1-2.
Well, since he moved exclusively to the bullpen, he's been throwing harder and harder. And right now it's a very crisp fastball. Might be fairly straight, but it's got something on it.
One and two for Edwin. Jose at second. High fastball again. 2-2. May adamant to use the fastball in this sequence to Edwin.
Well, he was a starting pitcher early in his career and a starting pitcher when he came to the major leagues. But after an injury in 2017, he's been a full-time reliever, and consequently he's just throwing harder.
Yeah, fastball up on the average 2 miles an hour from a couple years ago. Ooh, 99. Inning over, but Jose Abreu comes up in a huge spot again and sends a laser to right center to tie the ball game. Yes, Lucas.
Our momentum maker is presented by First Midwest Bank, and it's the day of Lucas Giolito, and it has not been an easy one. He mowed him down early, 1-2-3 first, then the second he had some problems. The pinpoint location was not quite there today. And I think that's one of the reasons Ricky Renteria decided to go to the bullpen, because this was a battle for Lucas. Cody Hoyer comes into this one on for the 10th time, his ERA of 2.70. 10 strikeouts in 10 innings. The game is now squarely in his hands. And for a young guy, this is about as much pressure as you would expect. He's got a great arm. He's got great stuff. And eventually you'd have to think he's certainly going to be one of the candidates for the back end of the bullpen.
Minnesota's not seen him either, so we'll see what the looks are like. And he's going to face a guy, as Mazara comes into right, he's going to face a guy in Miguel Sano who's been the toughest out in this lineup so far tonight. That's his entree into the Minnesota order.
Well, Cody's got a good slider, and Sano doesn't hit a good slider. And if you throw a fastball, you would prefer it up and not down.
It was a slider that he homered on in the third.
Isn't it funny how 99 used to be eye-popping, and now you see 99 and you go, yeah, it's 99.
Yeah, and I mean, movement too, right? I mean, some of these sinkers look like they have minds of their own. Like that's a tight slider at 88.
No, he's not gonna catch up to that. There's a lot of guys who honestly can't throw a fastball at 88, let alone think about a slider.
You think back to the first series of the year, right? You get the first pitch home run from Max Kepler, first pitch of the season, and we're all like, okay, that's not a great start against the team that won the Central last year. Game 3, Reynaldo Lopez gets hurt in the first inning, and the Twins pound the Sox, win 2 of 3. You didn't know where the season was going to go. We're now more than halfway through, and this game is as tense as any as we've seen so far this year, and there's a lot on the line.
Well, that was a slider at 91, and Sano was probably thinking, well, I'm pretty happy that one wasn't in the zone. Cody Hoyer has a very long stride, and on the pitch you were seeing before, we'll tell you about it in a minute.
How about now?
Pitch you were seeing before, what happened was Lucas Giolito made an imprint in his 5 innings of work. A pitcher has to come in and make sure he smooths that out, because when you take your stride, it's pretty close to where Lucas's was, but not exactly. And it looked like his foot slipped just a little bit.
Ooh, ball 4. Sano takes a leadoff walk. Test your luck during every White Sox game this season with the 50-50 raffle Sox split presented by Wintrust. On sale now until the end of the 7th inning. Current jackpot is right around $1,000, but jump in now. Get your split the pot 50-50 tickets at whitesox.com/Sox split. Valid for Illinois residents 18 and over.
This would be the toughest of opponents, because Arise is not a swing and a miss guy.
But he is a ground ball guy, and the hope would be that maybe you can go out. Not on that, but maybe you could get him to pound the ball into the dirt for you.
Sox are asking their young pitchers to do something that's really difficult. Step right in the middle of essentially a pennant race under pressure like this and get the ball over the plate. And so far, Cody has not been able to consistently do that here. Control this year has been pretty good.
Yeah, he's looked pretty undaunted overall, and now Don Cooper recognizing that there's a little bit of a wobble with a runner on and a 2-0 count. He comes out to talk to Cody.
He's just trying to settle him down here. Don't overthrow. Get a ground ball. This guy's a ground ball hitter. For the case of Arraez, he knows young pitcher on the mound, pitching coach out. You look one pitch and one pitch only. It's going to be a fastball most likely, and Arraez is going to try to take it the other way.
Anxious moments in the AL Central. 4-4 tie here. 1-0 Cleveland over Kansas City, bottom of the 8th inning, and the Royals have the leadoff man aboard in their home 8th, down a run as Jace Fry loosens for the second time today. Twins also have a television in the White Sox bullpen that they won on Match Game 76.
Jace Fry is getting loosened up for Cave. He hits after Gonzalez.
So close, a little bit high, 3-1, and that's where Arraez's height actually comes into play. He tends to crouch down with the pitch as well, as he took that one just a little bit above the strike zone. Fouled away. He snapped at 98. Now he's doing a square dance.
Yeah, Arraez he knows he's getting a fastball. He got a fastball and he fouls it back. He's used to making pretty solid contact when he's looking for a given pitch. So far, biggest pitch of the ball game right here.
Hoyer a deep breath. 3-2 hit by Arraez. Robert played it perfectly. One gone.
Well, you know that Arraez is looking left and left center field, and Luis Robert couldn't have been positioned any better. I mean, this one is right at him. Arraez hits a line drive, and he does that a lot. But Luis right there. If nothing else, that particular sequence for Cody Hoyer gives him a lot of confidence.
Can he get a ground ball from Marwin Gonzalez? Switch hitter going left, takes ball one.
Marwin does a lot of things well, but run is not one of them. So you get him to hit it on the ground, and you're probably going to get a pair.
Young Cody Hoyer thrust into a big spot. Gets a climbing fastball fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Marwin Gonzalez, for his career in the StatCast era, about half the balls he hits are ground balls, but that number is down this year. Can Hoyer and his sinker coax one in this moment?
Right now, not a whole lot of slider command. One way or the other, you think Jace Fry's coming into this to face Cave, or a pinch hitter, as Don Cooper wants to know if Fry is ready to go.
Oh. 2-1 pop foul.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's ball 3 up and out of the strike zone, and Marwin, without a whole lot of time to recognize what it was, fouls it back.
You know, the Twins bench has 2 lefties and 2 switch hitters. They have A-Ray Adrianza and Ildemaro Vargas, the 2 switch hitters. Then Wade and Alex Avila, the 2 left-handers on the bench. On the ground, Madrigal smothers it, picks it up and got it out. Nick with good range there for out number 2, and now Sano to second base with 2 gone instead of 2 on, 1 out.
Look, Nick is just recognizing who can run and who can't, so he rushed the play because he's not sure about Marwin. He's got all kinds of time here. Sano just barely got out of the way of that, so Nick smothers it. He doesn't realize he's got all kinds of time, and he rushes the play. Fortunately, he gets it there, but I mean, Marwin is not in the neighborhood. So Nick had a bit more time, and again, when he's playing more, he's going to get to know the speed of all of these guys. He's going to know when he has a couple of extra beats. But in the meantime, there's a man in scoring position for Sano, and he does not run well.
Jake Cave takes 100 for a strike. That's unhittable.
Well, 100 isn't, but where it was certainly
That's
is.
exactly right. The combo.
That was right in on his hands.
You're going to end up feeling like you were reaching into a hornet's nest.
No, you don't want to do that.
James has gotten really crafty in framing, and he nearly stole another one there.
So the Sox don't think Cave's going to be able to pull the ball at 100 or 99. They're shifted around toward left center field. If this is a base hit and it's hit on a line, I don't think Sano is able to score. But first things first, let's see if Cody can get him out.
Yeah, slider buried again. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Well, they've recognized at this point that Cody can't get anything but a fastball over the plate. So you're just sitting on dead red and hoping you can catch up to it. Sano looks at the outfielders, see where they are. As a short conversation. He's talking to Tim Anderson, who said, "You don't need a big lead. Don't worry about it. Just relax."
That is through. It's a base hit. Mazara up with it. Sano is coming home, and the Twins have taken a 5-4 lead here in the 6th.
Major league hitter, when he knows you can't get anything over the plate but a fastball, he's going to sit on 1 pitch and then he's going to hit it hard, and that's what happened. He's sitting on number 1, and he takes it through the right side.
So Sox are down a run, and Cody Hoyer will try and keep it there. Right field, Mazara makes a catch, and that will do it. 2-out single, Jake Cave. Sox have some work to do. Can Luis do it? Left field, Gordon back at the track. It is over! The Sox are in first place. Luis Roberts sends them there. 5-2 your final score. That young man changed the game in a big way yesterday with the second walk-off of the series against Kansas City, and Luis will bat second in this 7th inning with the Sox down a run. First pitch, a strike. Tip top of the zone to James McCann, who's had a nice night at the plate at 1 for 2 with a double and a run and a walk. Edge of your seat night in the AL Central with the Sox down a run and Cleveland up a run. Both games late, and 0-2 on James.
It's a couple of sliders, neither of which were great sliders, but James is down 0-2.
Another slider. 1 ball, 2 strikes. "26 games left, including tonight." Sox would be a playoff team right now, tied for first in the AL Central. Minnesota a game and a half back, and that's a really good slider from May for strike 3. Time now to open up the Sox vault, presented by Feldco. Luis Robert, at age 23, was the 6th youngest Sox player to hit a walk-off home run. Harold Baines just across age 21, and not even halfway to 22, is the youngest of all time in July of 1980. Ooh, 97. His eyes lit up. 0-1.
Well, somewhere in this sequence, he's going to get that slider, and the slider from May tonight is not quite as good as it should be. Luis is looking for one of those out over the plate. Looked like some sort of changeup. It wasn't his typical slider, and it wasn't the fastball. But it was well down and out of the strike zone.
He doesn't throw a splitter, but it kind of had splitter properties, didn't it?
Maybe he's adapting to one that Clippard showed him.
Outside, and it was closer to the zone than Jeffers was allowed to show it.
He was sitting inside. When a major league pitcher misses his spot by that much, it's almost impossible to get that call.
There was a hanging breaking ball, and now it adorns Luis Roberts' home run tree. Bring him home and bring the tie. 5-all.
That was the slider that doesn't break. He showed it to McCann. He showed it again, and Luis took it way out. A rocket to center field. The exit velocity on that, I think it's going to say otherworldly. It's a 5-5 game. Boy, I'm really happy I didn't leave. This is entertaining. 111 miles an hour to center field. There's a hanging slider for home run replay, and it gets out in a blink of an eye. This, folks, is a relentless offense. I mean, you hit it off the limestone in center field. That's a blast.
Now, here's the thing. You've been with the Sox a long time. You're a former Sox player. I grew up a Sox fan. You see fewest games to 10 home runs. Robert is third to Zeke.
Yeah, of course it's Zeke. He's on every list.
All I want to say is, for Sox fans who are like uncomfortable with the idea that their team is just going to come back in games and is going to provide late offense, I know it's been a rough go the past couple of years, and you kind of trained yourself to be in despair when the team's down late. That's not happening anymore. Those innings that we saw in the second tonight, that's been the opponents doing that much more than the Sox. A lot of recent Sox-like things have gone away with this team. It's a different vibe around this group, and you can just sense it from miles and miles away. 408 to be exact.
Look, the last 3 years have been really tough. Sergio Romo getting loosened up in the pen. But if that disastrous inning had been in another year, 3 errors in 1 inning, maybe they fold the tent to a team that is the caliber of Minnesota, but not this team. This team keeps fighting their way back, and they made it a whale of a game.
It's tipped foul, and it goes off the gears. So almost simultaneously as Robert homered, Maikel Franco drove in the first run of the day for Kansas City. So the Royals are tied at 1 and still batting in the 8th inning against Cleveland, who's in that first place tie with the Sox.
Say it's not so.
It is so. How fun is scoreboard watching?
It's great.
Strike 3, fastball high, 2 down. That is an exceptional, special young man.
That was 449 feet, and the only thing that stopped it from going further was it didn't go through the limestone. It was pretty close. That was a rocket. It's almost inconceivable how strong you have to be to hit the ball that hard on a line.
And he stands at the plate. He almost looks like a golfer watching a ball fly to the center of the fairway.
Just don't make a mistake with a slider. But James couldn't take advantage of it, but Luis certainly could. And now once again it's up to the bullpen. On both sides it's a bullpen game.
Slider low, ball and a strike on Mazara, who singled and scored in the 6th inning on Abreu's 2-run double. Now the Twins in the 7th have the top of the order: Kepler, Polanco, and Cruz. So a dangerous time as well coming up. These are 2 explosive dynamite offenses in the AL Central. Three balls and a strike on Mazara. Well, the Twins, remember, the Twins have Michael Pineda starting tomorrow, and he's making his 2020 season debut. So how long he goes is certainly in question. So the more pitches you rack up tonight out of the Twins bullpen, the more you put yourself in a positive setting tomorrow in Game 2.
There was a high slider, and you'd love to see Nomar keep the inning alive, because Romo is coming in and ready to go, and you want to get deeper in that bullpen. It's only the 7th. Still a long way to go in this one. You said he homered every second game. I can't believe you would lead me astray.
I meant he homers every game. Just wait a second. Luis Robert, in a 1-run game, the Twins had just taken the lead. Go out and get it, 88. He rocks and rolls the Sox to a tie.
His ability welcomes worship.
It is over! The Sox are in first place!
In 1 month of baseball, he's owned the 60 feet 6 inches between rubber and result. With grit over glitter, muscle over grace, purpose over polish. We watch, we stare, and we talk.
Luis drills this ball right field, and go! Bring him home!
There's a lot to say, and there's a lot to see about Luis Robert.
He's the reason we're tied right now. That number 88 just turned 23 a couple of weeks ago. And his very athletic frame sets up shop as Jace Fry enters. Steve Stone.
He's going to be facing Kepler and Jace Fry in with a tie game. The game squarely in his hands.
Left-hander out of Oregon State, Jace Fry throws another hook, and that one for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
On for the 12th time. His ERA a touch over 4. 13 strikeouts and 10 2/3. That's pretty good. The 12 hits is not. So we'll see if he can subdue the mighty Twins. Walking leadoff man is not the way to get it done. Rosario leadoff walk in the 2nd, scored. Sano leadoff walk last inning, scored. That one jumped up and bit Kepler.
Yeah, fouled it off his own body. 2-2 for Max Kepler, who had a breakout season last year, but has seen his pop-ups increase pretty substantially this year. He's grounded out twice and tapped to the mound for an error. He's 0 for 3 today. 3-2. To second. Madrigal stonewalls it, and 1 down. Rush and the Chicago White Sox are proud to support Home Runs for Health. Every time a White Sox player hits a home run this season, Rush will make a donation to White Sox charities to help promote health in our communities. It's a game changer on and off the field. At Rush, excellence is just the beginning, which can also be a slogan for Luis Robert. The Sox have neutralized Kepler tonight at 0 for 4. Polanco is 0 for 3. And he checked it up. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Thanks, Laz. We needed that.
You're welcome, Steve.
Well, look, you got to give the umpire, a little encouragement when they make a call like that.
Jace has been living down and then down out of the zone, and that's usually pretty good news for ground balls.
I mean, if you're ahead, that's terrific. And that one, Polanco fouled off his own body. And there's the man you worry about. The man that's been neutralized and lost 3 battles to Lucas Giolito and lost them convincingly.
The thing about this is, if you get Polanco, and I know he's still up and it's 1-2, if you get Polanco, you can do whatever you want with Nelson Cruz, because Rosario, the left-hander, is after.
Well, you certainly don't want to give in to Cruz. That's if you get Polanco, but this one hooked foul, I believe.
It did.
Fortunately, yes.
Near the beautiful limestone of Target Field, one of our favorite places to visit in this league.
That is a really nice looking ballpark. And as I always say, when I go to that park, you can't beat the walleye.
I knew it was coming. I really did. 1-2, checked his swing. He went. Yes, he did. Strike 3. Jace Fry punches out Polanco, and 2 gone for Nelson Cruz.
So with Cruz, you got a guy that's a base clogger. Even if he gets on, he's not going to do much, and that time he can't check it up. And Laz was so kind to ring up the other strike that he figured he'd do it again, and quickly 2 up, 2 down. And they're going to walk him, and this is a good move regardless of what you do with Rosario. Nice call by Ricky. He says, I'm not going to let Cruz beat me, not against the left-hander. We're going to go lefty-lefty advantage, and that's something you have to got to do.
That's right. And then you've got Birdie warming up, which is a right-hander to face the right-hander Sano if Rosario does find a way to reach. It's the right play, and it's a good play. And again, with the speed of Nelson Cruz, important as well.
Baldelli can't take Cruz out because you figure it's going to roll around to him most likely anyway. You don't want to take your big bopper out, so he's not scoring on a double, I don't think. But let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Strike, nip the corner, Jace Fry. 0-1 on the cutter to Rosario. Up high with a breaking ball, 1-1. Rosario slugging against lefties for his career is .411 versus righties .503. So it's a big drop off. Got the swing and the miss there. A late cut would have been 2-1. Instead, it's a ball and 2 strikes.
And how the game has changed. Every time the ball goes in the dirt, doesn't matter which catcher it is, they just reach back or throw the ball out and get another ball. If you get a scuff on a baseball, you can literally make the ball sing and dance. It is a huge advantage.
He struck him out downstairs. Won't need another baseball. Rosario may need a helmet later, but not now. We'll go to the 8th. We're tied at 5.
Go White Sox.
Let's go White Sox. Sox.
Let's go White Sox.
Let's go White Sox. Let's go White Sox.
Sox looking for a rally here in the 8th inning against the veteran right-hander.
Sergio Romo, the veteran of many baseball wars, comes out for the 13th time. His ERA a little below 4 1/4, but 14 strikeouts in 10 2/3. That's very good. He will throw from any angle. He will throw any pitch. And you might remember, I think it might have been last year, where his knee occasionally locks up, and to get it back, he has to throw to first base. He must have thrown to first base 17 times. And we're sitting here wondering, what is he doing? You can't run out the clock. You can't win the game by throwing to first base. And afterward, it came out that, well, his knee had popped out. He was trying to get it back in. You would think he would say, hey, to the trainer, why don't you come out and pop this back, at least after 12 throws, but no.
Well, Dan Hayes, our former colleague Dan Hayes, had written a story about it, and I brought it up in like the 9th inning of that game, I think, and people were tweeting at me saying, you're crazy, there's no way. But that's in fact what it was. Let's highlight an at-bat that'll be big here with Tim Anderson coming up second in this inning. Romo throws 71% sliders this year, and Tim has been so improved against the breaking ball over the past year and a half.
Well, just when you say that, he throws 2 fastballs.
Well, he's gonna throw sliders at some point.
Well, I would assume he's going to throw one here.
He's got to throw about 8 of them to reach his normal percentage. 8 of them in a row.
Well, Nick loves to go to right field. Great time to do it.
Told you it was going to come at some point.
Okay, so that's 33% sliders.
Okay, I know, I got it. He's got to throw like 5 more in a row in order to meet the number.
To get to 71%.
Good news is you never beat that drum a couple more times.
No.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
50% sliders. But whatever it is, you would think that Nick would be looking away, because most likely Romo's going to go there.
Slider looped over second base, and Arise makes the catch.
Hey, White Sox fans, Xfinity XFi gives you Wi-Fi security with a warning track on a smarter, more secure home Wi-Fi network. If it's connected, it's protected.
1 down, 8th inning. Sox in Minnesota tonight, hoping to remain in first place by the end of the evening. 1 out in the 9th in Kansas City, with the Indians trailing the Royals 2-1 as Tim takes a slider, ball 1.
Greg Holland trying to wrap it up. Go Royals.
Left side, Polanco slings it over and got the out. 2 down.
Nice play, good throw, the off balance, and it's right there.
So, Eloy Jimenez takes a strike. That looked like it was a sinker that sort of swung back.
Well, Eloy's going to get that slider, and if he's looking away, it's pretty inviting in right center field for him.
Oh, that's well out of the zone.
Yeah, slider, but not looking away.
Minnesota will have Sano leading off the bottom of the 8th. Ooh, that one spun in the zone at the edge of the zone. But the catcher, Jeffers, makes the play. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Romo, and we'll play bottom 8 in a deadlock.
To get caught up.
Oh, let's do it. It's brought to you by Honda City. Thank you for that. I'm glad to serve. Miguel Sano's home run in the 3rd inning made it 4-0 Twins, and the wide-eyed Sox were not very wide-eyed for long. Adam Engel, a 2-run single. That made it 4-2. You felt like the comeback was on. The Sox put 2 runners on, 4 straight innings, and Jose finally paid it off.
Well, you got the right man up in the right situation. Lucas Giolito is absolutely ecstatic. He'll get a no D. Cody Hoyer gives up a base hit. The Twins retake the lead, but this is officially a seesaw affair, as Robert hits the daylights out of one, takes a chunk out of the limestone, and it's tied at 5, and that's exactly where we stand as Matt Foster comes in the ball game for the 12th time. ERA of 1.20, 3-0. He has been the right man in the right spot, and if he can get by Sano, who is yet to be retired tonight, he can get a leg up on turning it over to the offense.
That offense will show Abreu, Encarnacion, and McCann. Remember, Yasmani Grandal is available to pinch hit as well. He is not in this game so far, although the Sox do only have 2 catchers at this point, with Zach Collins back to Schaumburg. Ball 1 to Miguel Sano, who scored 3 of the 5 runs tonight for Minnesota.
When they do a remake of the Hatfields and McCoys, Sergio Romo looks like Devilance Hatfield. I mean, you've never seen him in the same room for a reason. I think that's him, as Detweiler loosens up.
Well, the Sox have already used Cody Hoyer, Jace Fry, and Matt Foster tonight. And credit to Jace Fry with a couple of big strikeouts. Polanco and Rosario for a clean 7th with the intentional walk in between.
No, that was a very good inning and a wise choice to walk Sano and take your chances with Rosario. I mean, excuse me, walk Cruz and take your chances with Rosario.
We all have Sano on the brain. He's been so dangerous tonight.
He just scares you standing up there.
A high change for a strike.
Ooh. Ooh, a break.
Oh,
a break.
The season in sounds there. Two 2-1 from the rookie Foster. Yeah, 2-2, 95, bottom of the zone.
I think his 95 looks a lot like 98 because it is deceptive. Sano's never seen him. He couldn't catch up to that one. Got a rise in the on deck circle, so it behoove you to retire Sano. And a changeup probably is a good pitch.
2-2. He struck him out, had him completely off balance, and he topples Sano almost literally for strikeout number 11 for the Sox. Preview of White Sox postgame live presented by Subaru. Chuck, Frank, Ozzie, what you got? Those are posh couches you guys have. We look forward to hearing from you.
This has got to be a big game because you got Big Frank and Ozzie in the same studio with little Chucky.
0-1 on a rise, and it's sprayed foul. 0-2.
See, I got a rise out of you.
No, well, yeah, trying to get a rise out of here. He's 1 for 3. He's scored a run. He's driven in 1. He's reached safely in 21 of their 26 games.
No,
he is a tough man.
He doesn't he doesn't miss the ball much. He's going to make some contact.
0-2. Sounded like he was using a hollow toilet paper tube for a baseball bat. 2 down.
Well, look, that's a good contact hitter because he was completely fooled, and yet he was able to basically throw the bat at the ball, hit it off the end of the bat, and make some contact, and at least keep the play alive.
Like he duffed a table tennis shot.
Wasn't a good sound. Didn't have that same sound that Luis Robert had on his ridiculous rocket of a home run.
I mean, that thing, he's challenging parts of ballparks that you don't really see on a television screen very much. First pitch a strike, and Cleveland has lost to Kansas City. So right now, in this moment, the White Sox are in first place all along.
So let's freeze it and see what happens.
Press your "if the playoffs started today" button. Ball and a strike to Marwin Gonzalez.
Karinchak wound up losing that one. Scoring runs off him is a pretty good trick. Winning a game that Bieber throws is a pretty good trick.
Yeah, Bieber was great tonight, throwing 6 shutout. That ball's hit well, but twisting and twisting some more. And he did not hit their sign.
That one was a bomb. I mean, he hit that one a long, long way.
No, he hit it to the gateway of the ballpark. Yeah, it would be nice, obviously, to get the support, but he launched it over the sign.
Good thing he launched it to the right of the sign.
What are you throwing here after that?
A high fastball.
All right. Yeah, strike 3.
Marwin doesn't like it. Rayburn liked it. And Foster was ecstatic.
How cool is Matt Foster to the 9th, tied at 5? Rogers.
And normally he's a very good left-handed arm, but this year hasn't been all that good. 15 hits in 11 1/3. Only 1 walk. Control's been excellent. Right-handers have hurt him at .325, 14 strikeouts. And successful 7 of 9 save opportunities. So when you're at home, you bring in your closer in the 9th to buy an inning. You don't worry about what's going to happen after that, and Rogers is their closer against a real good right-hand stacked lineup, and right-handers are the guys that have done the job against Rogers. Time now for a Grandview Homes home run of the game. Grandview buys homes as is, and you might need a new home if he keeps doing this. A rocket to center field, 449 feet. Would have gone farther, except for the limestone. May doesn't appear to be all that happy. Sox are very happy.
Well, he's sinker curveball. He's thrown 4 four-seam fastballs all year. Sinker 50% of the time, curveball 47% of the time. You can break it down to 2 pitches, and it's a sinker for ball 1 to Jose Abreu, who tied the ball game at 4 in the 6th.
Well, Jose loves the ball down, so this one should be a good matchup for him.
He liked that one. It was just on the corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Thigh high. Good height with the fastball for Jose. Just a little bit out of way.
So 10+ home runs. The Sox are the only team who have cornered the market on 3 players with 10+ home runs. Wrapped toward third, and a little decision to be made. Polanco handles it for round number 1. The MLB app is the only place to get all your White Sox action. In-game video highlights, live pitch-by-pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards. What don't they have? Standings and much more. Download the MLB app today. The #1 app for live baseball. We only got a couple games on right now. It's the Sox and Twins, and it's the Padres and the Rockies. San Diego very busy today and leading Colorado 5-0 in the 7th. Sox have business here, and ball 1 to Edwin Encarnacion, who's walked twice tonight. That's a strike that's been there all night. It's been slightly off the plate, but it's been called, and it's 1-1.
No, that's all you ask for is consistency, and DJ Rayburn has been consistent. But knowing that, if another one is out there, you have to go get it.
He did. And of course, the pitcher's going right back.
Well, I was going to say the pitch before necessitated what Encarnacion did on the next pitch, which was go out. He fouled it off.
Sox have Evan Marshall and Alex Colomé warming in their bullpen for distinct situations. Colomé if the Sox lead, Marshall if not. You would imagine.
Absolutely.
Took the words right out of your mouth, didn't I?
Well, somewhat. But I think that's probably the way it's going to be. And hopefully we see Alex.
.420 career home runs. Encarnacion hops out of the way.
That appeared to be a setup pitch for a breaking ball here. We'll see what Jeffers wants. McCann waiting patiently. He's looking at the sequencing of Rogers. Rogers shook off the breaking ball.
See, if that is where the setup is, that's probably strike 3.
If he's setting up outside, that's absolutely strike 3. The fact that he came across the plate meant that Rayburn was not going to give it to him. Edwin has been patient all night.
3-2. In the air, he spikes his bat. Oh, it's dropped. Kepler dropped the ball. Edwin only gets to first base, but the Sox will take it. Kepler just had it clang off his glove. And what a turn of events, and the Sox now can pinch run for Encarnacion with Seijarad Dyson. Oh my goodness.
Just about the time you take anything for granted in this game, it jumps up to bite you. For instance, if Edwin is running, who knows, maybe he winds up at second. He does spike the bat and never conceives of Kepler missing this. I mean, literally, that's about the easiest fly ball you'll ever have in your life. He missed it, opening the door for the Sox.
And so now in the circumstance where the 10th inning, Yolmer Sanchez is going to go ahead and pinch run in his return to a White Sox uniform. When you know the 10th inning is going to include runners for each team, you're less reluctant to pull somebody out in the 9th who's a power bat because you don't expect the game to go as long. So that's why you see the pinch runner here. I would imagine in a typical 9th inning you may not go there.
Well, I think on the road you're going to try to win this one with whoever your faster man is, and it's not Edwin. So Johnson comes out to have a word with Rogers. And look, this is a nice trip to the mound because you got a pitcher out there who thinks it's 2 outs, nobody on, and it's not. It's 1 out, the go-ahead run at first base. In a night that's had its twists and turns, that could turn out to be a fatal turn for the Twins.
An outrageous play in what could end the night with the Sox in first place alone. James McCann in the 9th inning as a White Sox player. This is last year and this year. He has 41 at bats, 12 hits, 4 doubles, a triple, and a home run. That's an OPS of 882. He's hit the ball very well late in his White Sox career. Oh, 0-2. Luis Robert next.
This is where Yolmer has to take a good lead and a good secondary lead if Rogers decides he wants to wipe him out with his breaking ball. And there is the man of the moment.
Sliced foul. So Yolmer Sanchez, a veteran of 646 White Sox games, back in a Sox uniform today and trying to keep this game from extra innings on the road in Minnesota. He is the lead run over at first, pinch running. Up high, a fastball, 1-2.
Well, somewhere along the line he's going to break out his breaking ball because it's been fastball city on 4 straight pitches.
There's that smile you all know and love starting to crack on Yolmer Sanchez's face.
Be nice to see it crossing the plate with Yolmer behind it.
Smile first,
absolutely.
feet second. Foul.
Hit movies, current shows, exclusive originals, timely updates. Watch for free. That's for me. Now that's an ad lib. Upgrade for more. PeacockTV.com. James is really battling. He's seen fastball after fastball.
Right side, a rifle shot, base hit. Sanchez to second base. Sox have 2 on with 1 out thanks to the error.
Well, for some reason, the combination of Jeffers and Rogers did not go to the breaking ball at all. It was fastball after fastball after fastball, and the last one caught too much of the plate. Just a quality at bat for James McCann.
And now the young man who homered to tie the ball game in the 7th. A solo shot deep to center field. 2 on, 1 out for Robert. Line drive, left field toward the corner. That is a fair ball. Up and over the wall. The Sox will take 1 run. Sanchez scores. Welcome back, Yolmer. 6-5. Sox still going.
Luis Robert is becoming a man before our very eyes. After all of those fastballs, he gets out in front of a curve. This one is down. It has the plate, and he just reaches out and yanks it into the left field corner. That's a wonderful piece of hitting. The only bad break is it bounces out of the park. Otherwise, it's 2 runs.
Luis Robert walked it off yesterday, and now the infield has to come in against Danny Mendick. Ball 1 outside, a fastball. This Sox offense continues to churn, continues forward even when down early in the game for nothing. And they put up a 6th spot eventually behind Lucas Giolito and threatening to be in first place all alone.
Somehow or other, Danny has got to manage the very least a fly ball. That is a gigantic run. James McCann doesn't have particularly good speed. but if it's far enough, it's going to be a moot point. The most accurate and strongest arm is in right field with Kepler.
It's a laugh a minute in the White Sox dugout right now. The error from Kepler swung the door wide open for the Sox in this 9th inning. It was your run-of-the-mill, everyday Main Street fly ball. And it just would not sit down in the glove of Max Kepler.
Looking for a very short, quick swing and contact. Through a drawn-in infield, it's a hitter's dream.
McCann at third, Robert at second. Checked his swing, went around, strike 3, 2 gone. So now it's Nomar Mazara. Mazara came in for Adam Engel and led off the 6th with a base hit against Tyler Clippard. He eventually scored the first of 2 runs in that inning, and the Sox tied the game. Maybe Nomar's biggest spot in a Sox uniform so far.
I would think it's a huge spot.
Strike 1. Minnesota in the 9th will have Cave, Jeffers, and Kepler. Right hand side, that trickles foul. Nomar is still alive.
Well, you got a big weapon on the bench in Jarrod Dyson. Alex Colomé is coming in. You're looking for another run.
There's Dyson. We saw him as the pinch runner yesterday in the 10th inning. On 0-2, it's a topper foul right at the plate.
Well, you just keep hoping that Rogers is going to bury a breaking ball. We've seen already once that Jeffers didn't slide out quickly enough to smother one.
Interested, powerful spectators. Oh, 2. Mazara gets a small piece again. 3 straight of basically the same deal from Nomar Mazara to stay cooking at the plate. Ooh, up. I leave it there for a while, Mr. Jeffers. Sox say no, not a strike.
No, you couldn't buy that one. That one was touch out of the zone. A lot of pitches. For Rogers, a heavy workload this inning might have some ripple effects for tomorrow night. But first things first.
Ball and 2 strikes. Mazara slings it to right field. That's a base hit. McCann scores. Robert on his heels. Luis is in. It is 8-5 Sox, and 2020 is different in so many ways, Sox fans.
Single biggest hit by far for Nomar Mazara. He battled, drove a ball through the right side, and then Luis Robert, who's going to score on any hit, Scores the 8th run. It's a 3-run lead. There's a slider that doesn't slide. He goes out and gets it, yanks it into right field. How about this game? Throw is off the mark. Luis flies across the plate. What a game.
Every night has suddenly become a celebration of this offense.
Well, this is, I mean, this game, you come back and win this from 4 down in a visitor's ballpark. And by the way, the Twins are one of the best home teams in all of baseball. They came into this 12 out of 15 at home. They have dominated people, fans or no fans. And we know that guy, Juan Minaya, loosening up. Might be just a little too late, but he's getting loose. And in the meantime, Rogers is on the hook, but more importantly, it's going to take in the neighborhood of 30 pitches, and tomorrow night it could very well be he's going to be fried.
With Michael Pineda making his 2020 debut on the mound, they're going to have to dip into the bullpen. Dallas Keuchel on the hill for the Sox, who, if they hang on, would be in first place all alone with 25 games remaining. Nick fouls it off. 1 ball, 1 strike. I mean, look, in a game when you've got first and second and nobody out in 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive innings, and you put 4 of them up, but you could have had more, it scares you all night that maybe you'll have some chances on the bases. And this team again has flipped the script night after night.
Well, the difference in this team is simply wrapped up in one play. The Kepler fly ball that wasn't caught. We told you at the time that with this team can bury you, and it's turned out that that's probably going to be the case. Max opened the door. The Sox and the offense storm through, and they lead by 3.
3 balls and a strike. It ain't over yet for the offense specifically.
Well, you would think if he doesn't get Madrigal that Rocco Baldelli has got to go get Rogers. He can't let him dissolve in the mid-30s this inning. He's at 32 after this pitch.
That's a strike. Just caught the edge of the zone. 3-2. How about Nomar Mazara, lefty lighten up the scoreboard for 2.
And he got a slider. I mean, first of all, he spoiled some really good pitches before that base hit.
Three-two. Nick to left field. That's a line drive, and it's caught by Rosario on the run. But the error creates some room for an offense that barges through the door. Luis Robert, an RBI double. You want some more? Sox got some more. Mazara drives in 2 as well. Luis got him there. 8-5, 3 outs to get. Sox dugout being the one that's cool and calm, and the Twins dugout being the one that's got the pent-up anger.
Well, it's not over yet. Alex Colomé coming on. He's 6 of 7 in saves, .73 ERA. He's got to nail it down. But you fall down 4-0, and that's why the Twins are expressing the kind of angst they are. They're up 4-0 in a team that last couple of years they've quite frankly dominated.
Yep.
And tonight that ball club has come back and taken a 3-run lead late, and that ball club is a ball club that doesn't seem to want to be denied ever.
There was every opportunity in so many small ways tonight for the Sox to say, here we go again at Target Field.
Well, look, Lucas Giolito probably typifies what happened with the ball club tonight. He has a terrible third, no defense, gives up a home run in the third inning to go with that second inning debacle. And now you're down 4-0. So he has a talk with James McCann. James McCann gives him a couple of tips. I could see it over on the bench. He was talking to him about the slider, pulling everything down. And then he gives up one hit the rest of the way and comes out after 5 and turns it over to the offense.
To first, the scream of cover. No need. Jose's got it, 1 down.
Turn it over to the offense and to the bullpen tonight. The bullpen that this year has been so good. Tonight, Jace Fry, terrific. Matt Foster, terrific. And now Alex Colomé. I mean, they allowed the offense to come back.
Gave him every chance. Hoyer gave up a 2-out run in the 6th inning, which is rare against him. But Jace Fry's 7th against the top of the order. Very well done. Then Foster, who is as centered on that mound as any young pitcher as you're going to see, especially not a highly heralded one.
No, he's 20th round draft pick and he throws nothing but strikes. And by the way, if you haven't told your friends, please do. Luis Robert is appointment viewing. When he comes up in any situation, you just don't want to leave the screen because there's no telling what he's going to achieve in this game. His power is astonishing. His speed is with the very elite in the game. There's not a whole lot of holes in that young man's game, and he's 23 years old and he's going to get better, and that should be frightening for the league.
The young man we knew coming into this season would be athletically inclined. We knew that he was going to be off the charts, special, quick twitch athlete wise. But his ability to adjust as a baseball player has been exceptional so far, which suggests that the ceiling is moving and it's moving up.
Well, I think the one thing, and we haven't seen it since, and I think the one thing that they talked to him about was how desperately this team needs him on the field. And before you think about diving for a ball, think of the situation. If the game's on the line, okay, you can make a case for it. But 3, 4, 5 runs up, play it on the hop and live to fight another day. And that's something that young players especially have a hard time. They believe they can make every play. And sometimes when you mean as much to this team as Luis Robert does, you got to use some discretion. But it's hard to tell a young player who believes that literally if it stays in the park, it's theirs.
Colomé on 3-2. Just below the zone. He was testing that area all sequence long, and Jeffers takes a walk from the 9 spot.
Let's take a look at our upcoming schedule presented by Volkswagen. It's 2 more with the Twins, and if they're like this one, you're not going to want to miss them. And then on to Kansas City, who beat the Indians tonight. That was very nice of them. Then an off day on Monday, couple with Pittsburgh, an off day, and back here against the Tigers. The, by the way, suddenly resurgent Tigers.
Yeah, this looked like a pocket of the schedule where the Sox should pick up ground. 14-17 against under 500 teams, but the Tigers coming into play today had hit 500 at 16 up and 16 down. There's strike 1 to Kepler, who has had one of those nights where you want to go home, reach into the freezer and eat a pint of ice cream.
Well, that's why he's going to be grinding in this at bat, and that's why Alex Colomé can use that against him. He wants to get a hit so bad he can taste it. He's probably going to expand that strike zone quite a bit.
Yep, 0-2.
Well, there's 2 out of the zone, and he swung at both of them.
Look, Max Kepler is a really good player who gave the Sox a lot of fits last year, but his error in the top of the 9th inning was the one small pebble the Sox needed to start rolling down the hill. And now an 8-5 lead on a 3-run ninth. 2 strikes. He struck him out. 3 cutters, 2 gone.
3 cutters and a good chance there wasn't a strike in the bunch as Max went up. Wanted to hit a 4-run homer with 1 man on and winds up with a strikeout. That one's down out of the zone. 3 of them out of the zone. Second out.
2 down for Polanco. "13 strikeouts for Sox pitchers today. Giolito, Hoyer, Fry, Foster, and now Colome. Polanco shows bunt. That one's a strike. It had enough of the low portion of the zone to DJ Rayburn.
It's a pretty good idea by Polanco. He knows he's got to get on. That's his job. Any way he can, because he wants to keep it alive for Cruz. And that's the reason why you don't pinch run for Cruz, because you put another man on and the lineup rolls around to the 1 man you don't want to face.
Right side on a line. Mazara gallops in to a White Sox first place control all alone. The Sox are in first by themselves. Luis Robert and the Sox win by 3 tonight. What a comeback this was.
Well, put this one in a time capsule, because if you want any win, a defining win that characterizes this ball club this year, it was this game tonight. These guys fell down by 4. They battled their way back. They gave up the lead. They came back and tied it. They wound up and won it. And highlight, Nomar Mazara night, Luis Robert night.
Sox are in first place all alone. For our entire crew, for Chris Withers, our producer, Dave Turner, our director, Chris Kampka, our associate producer, Mark Harper, our tech manager, Greg Bowman, Kevin Cross, Joe Grube in the booth. Stoney, see you tomorrow.
I'll be here. This was exciting.
It absolutely was. Steve Stone, Jason Benetti, farewell. Chuck, Ozzie, Frank, put on your party hats. Enjoy it.